to go! GNCC Racing!
Welcome to the AMSOIL GNCC Racing Series presented by Specialized, an AMA National Championship. We're here in Beckley, West Virginia. The first time we've been here for the Mountaineer GNCC. And Landon, a championship is on the line.
It really is, you know, just like all the classes out there. The XC1 class, we had really good battles all year long. We had a couple different winners, but Caleb and Thad really going at it all year long. And the last race kind of was misleading because Caleb, way off the box, had some problems, and Thad coming away with the win.
Unfortunately, though, no Thad Duvall this weekend.
Yeah, that's probably gonna pave the way for Caleb.
Yes.
But like you say, we still got 2 races left, so anything could happen. But at this point, I would believe Caleb's gonna ride this one out. But you know, we got a new track here. Anything could happen, and it could really mix things up.
You're exactly right. And of course, in the XC2, we saw Liam Draper picking up his first win in the XC2.
Yeah, very exciting stuff out of Liam. I know he's really been working hard all year long and was finally able to grab that XC2 win. And you know, I'm sure that's just more and more fuel to the fire coming into these last 2 races.
You're exactly right. And another first-time winner in the XC3. It's silly season. Jake Froman taking a win in the XC3.
Yeah, epic ride out of him. I mean, we've had the same 2 winners all year long. Finally got that 3rd winner in there, and same thing for him. You know, this could be the thing that really kickstarts his career and gets him going.
You're exactly right. And of course, Jesse Ansley poised to capture that championship again in the XC3.
Yeah, him and Cody Barnes had a great battle all year long, but Cody Barnes also out with injury. I believe a knee just like Thad.
Exactly.
So that struck him this year, and Jesse Ansley, I believe he can do it this race.
I think you're exactly right. All right, the stage is set. Now let's take it to Jared Bolton with a track description.
Thanks, guys. The all-new Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC presents a unique challenge for us, the GNCC track crew. It gives us the unique opportunity to go out and cut a bunch of brand new trail, something we don't always get a chance to do. We've really gone out, worked really hard this week. The track's a little bit short, but that means the quality of the trail is really high. We put a lot of work in, a lot of brand new trail. It's going to be really tight. It's going to be really rocky. It's going to be a lot of hills out there. It's going to be a challenging course. It's going to give those guys who are good in the technical stuff a chance to get out front early. And the guys who might excel more in the high-speed stuff, they might struggle a little bit. But as the race wears on, it's going to get a little bit faster. Going to make for some great racing. Back to you guys.
All right, Jared, looks like a great new track out there. Looks like we have a lot in store, a lot of different things coming at us in this brand new facility. But I'm excited to see how this all shakes up.
Let's take it down to Rodney Tomlin down on the starting line.
Oh, say.
Russell. Rolling to the line second, but third in points today. He rides aboard the 514 from Hodges, South Carolina on a T Energy Racing KTM, Stu Baylor. Rolling to the line next today, he is fourth in points aboard the 739. He hails from Morganton, North Carolina on a Rockstar Energy Factory Husqvarna Racing Husky, Trevor Bollinger. Up next, fifth in points aboard the 114 from Australia on a Babbitt's Online Kawasaki Monster Energy Pack machine, Josh Strang. Coming up next, looking for another win here in 2019, hailing from Duvall, Washington on an Ampro Yamaha, backed by Moose Racing and Parts Unlimited. The number 212, he's rough, he's rowdy, Ricky Russell. To the line seventh today, riding aboard the 410 from Birdsboro, Pennsylvania on a Phoenix Honda Racing Honda, Andrew DeLong. Riding aboard the 127 from Livingston, Tennessee, leading nearly half the race just 2 weeks ago on a Babbitt's Online Monster Energy Kawasaki, Jordan Ashburn. Ninth in points aboard the number 206 from Winstead, Connecticut on FMF Factory Racing KTM. Just wrapped up the 2019 XC2 Pro-Am Class Championship, Josh Toth. Rolling to the line next aboard the number 314 out of Belton, South Carolina on a Tinley Energy Racing KTM, Grizzly Grant Baylor. The number 530, he hails from Harwinton, Connecticut on a Trail Jesters KTM backed by FMF, Ben Kelly. Riding aboard the 523 from Boonville, North Carolina on a Husqvarna Amsoil FXR backed ride, Lane Michael. And the 941 from Fort Mill, South Carolina on a Lenovo Racing Kawasaki backed by Stiller Motorsports, Chris Venditti. And that, ladies and gentlemen, your starting lineup for this XC1 Pro Class and this Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC. And again, just backing up, bumping into that, I said Josh Toth just won the XC2. He actually won last year. Ben Kelly won a couple of weeks ago. But regardless, we got a couple of new faces out there, a rookie from this entire season and a rider that just made his pro racing debut just a handful of days ago. As we are stacked and ready to rock, we are -1 Thad Duvall today due to injury. And of course, we'll hopefully get a word in with him on a couple of different occasions throughout the course of the race today, being in his home state. He and his wife making their way here to the Mountaineer GNCC in support of the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna Racing Team. So Bad Thad in attendance, but not on the starting line. So that pretty much says once that green flag flies, Caleb Russell will capture championship number 7 as far as GNCC titles are concerned. And all attention right now is focusing up toward that first turn region where Ricky Towery will begin the start sequence in just a few moments, of course. And he will set these riders into motion for 3 hours of an intense race and battle through the mountains of southern West Virginia as Ricky Towery lets these riders know we are just 1 minute away from waving that green flag and getting GNCC racing underway. Ricky finds himself back into that first turn the next time, and the next sign that we see from Ricky will be the blue flag coming out. That blue flag once again representing 30 seconds before the start of the race. It will also represent a dead engine call for all the riders on the starting line. As the blue flag is out, we're less than 30 seconds. Shut them down, guys. Shut them down, shut them down, shut them down as we get set to go rolling. And I'm looking out here and I'm seeing a great race crowd out here this weekend. So I got to ask you here on this Sunday, Mountaineer race fans, are you ready to go GNCC racing? Well, that's pretty good, but I also know you're from the great mountain state and all around this part of the United States. You're in the heart of GNCC country, and I know that we love it a lot more than this. Let's get these guys rolling into this penultimate round. Let's hear it one more time. I'm going to ask you, are you ready to go GNCC Racing? 10 seconds. And row number 1, the XC1 Pro, will be off and rolling at our Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC. $250 up for grabs now as we round the first turn. Who's it gonna be? The 127 of Jordan Ashburn grabbing $250 in our Wiseco Whole Shot Award, brought to you by Hot Cams and All Balls Racing. And of course, going down to row number 2, the XC2 Pro Class, the 250s, Craig DeLong, Jesse Grom, Ryder Lafferty, Tyler Saliano, Austin Lee, Liam Draper, Dylan Yearberry, Michael Witkowski, Ben Parsons, Alex Teagarden, Evan Smith, Philip Cheney, Bradley Cox, Benjamin Nelko. 10 seconds. Sam Evans, Seth Reedon, and Jonathan Johnson. And around that first turn, they jockey for position. Who's coming out on top? 717. That's 717 Sam Evans out of St. Albans, West Virginia on an AOMC P3 Composites Fly Racing Bag machine. Down now to row 3, the FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am. Riders include Joe Marsh, Mike DeLosa, Chase Colville, Jesse Ansley, Logan Kiddick, Jason Lipscomb, and Jake Froman. 10 seconds. Great jump by Chase Colville on that Low Jacks Yamaha. Let's see what happens here as they head out of turn 1 into turn 2. It's all Colville now as he puts the binders on. It's Jesse Ansley back in the number 2 spot as they head into turn number 3. The Open A class coming up next. Zach Tussle, Robert Whitlock, Levi Keller, Joshua Lee, Dylan Dela Cruz, Evan Earl, Jeremy Lanthier, Corbin Patton, Zachary Hugel, Trevor Jones, Brady Myers, Jacob Barnes, Kobe Baggert, Dakota Durand, and Tristan Landerman. 10 seconds. All right, 210. Oh, no, 256. Evan Earl out of Blacksburg, South Carolina on the VER Reigns Racing Fly Racing back machine. Gonna grab the lead in that one. That's Vance Earl's boy. If you don't know him, he's fast. 250A class coming up next. As we check in with this one now, it is 10 seconds for Simon Johnson, Ryder LeBlanc, Brody Johnson, Brenda Poling, Trevor Getz, Aiden Pogson, Nathaniel Tasha, Tyler Braniff, Joseph Cunningham, Josh Farrell, Cole Whitmer, Dakota DeVore, and Andrew Gross. I believe that Joseph Cunningham, a.k.a. JoJo Cunningham, if I'm not mistaken, coming off of a 250B class win 2 weeks ago and wrapping up the Youth National Championship. And coming up next is the 4-stroke A lights class as we turn our attention to Ricky and he lets us know 10 seconds. Tanner Cowart, Russell Smith, Alex Lugar, Johnny Manera, Mitchell Owenby, Adam Parker, Ian Flynn, Joshua Guffey, Cody Meeks, Nicholas Haynes, Grady Faint, Henry Szymanski, and Dylan Carano. And the rider number 71 on the machine, that's 433. That is Josh Guffey from Bainbridge, Georgia. Actually, no, that's Nicholas Haynes. Sorry about that. On a Strabane, PA on the Barnes Brothers MPR suspension machine. Eyes drifted on the line as we go back to the line on the start, and that's the 200A class ready to roll in 10 seconds. Zach Davidson, Tanner Collins, Dominic Morris, Max Fernandez, and Dylan Zimpel. Tanner Connor Collins gets a great jump. I think he wondered if he got a false start because he looked over at the rest of the line to see where everybody was. He saw him coming. Oh, he gets a little wide now to that duff, and he slides it sideways. And that's going to open it up for that 4.22 machine. I believe that one might have been Dominic. As we go next to the senior A class, these riders all 40 years of age and older. 10 seconds. Frank Messina, Sean Remington, Devin Ferguson, Frank Tussle, John Beaver, Gregory Richardson, Jeff Husted, Bo Hamlet, and Jason Stickley. And they're all smiling. Frank Messina and Shotgun Sean Remington. Shotgun, wow, look at that, trying to get in there, position himself for a hole shot. He's second right now. Out front, though, that is the number 50 of smiling Frank Messina, grabbing the early lead on a P27 off-road Trail Jesters Racing Tucker Rocky-backed KTM. Junior AB class coming up next. These riders 25 years of age and older, ready to roll in 10 seconds. Andrew Boggs, Andrew Matusik, Matt Bruffy, Landon Smith, David Muchisco, Cole Robbins, Zachary Nash, Joseph McCarty, Garrett Maynard, and Jesse Kildo. And they jockey it out, and it's the 426. Joseph McCarty from Mount Clair, West Virginia, on MCI Racing Outlaw Motorsports RG Motorsports Factory Connection Machine. And a Bet A 30-plus class coming up next. We got Sam Forster, Gallardo Maleo, Louis Olean, Mikhail Gomez, Joshua Wyatt. 10 seconds. Slurley Amancio, Danny Haftel, Luenzo Sanchez, Tom Truxell, Matt Modic, and Bill Zavendi. The Bet A 30-plus class. And it's the 3-6-0 of Surly Amancio from New Milford, Connecticut, grabbing the early lead in this one. 200B class coming up next. Max Rust, Trent Gaither, Anthony Blackburn, Ezra Judd, Blake Yaharis, Ezra Prine, Briar Burgess, Lucas Grounds, Colby Dunham, Noah Haynes, and Patrick Murray. 10 seconds. And here we go. Jockey for position 354, grabbing the early lead. That's Trent Gaither from Mullen, North Carolina. 19-year-old on his KTM, getting ready to try to take this one all the way home. We'll see if we can do it. Let's check in with the Bet B 30 Plus as well as we check in with in 10 seconds for Larry Hopper, Ross Kennedy, Devinson Goulard, Corey Tolliver, Charles Scott, Joshua Carey, Gary Basang, Sam Bishop, Ernest Martin, David Murray, Adam Williams, Joshua Webb, and Alan Peters. All righty, as they come out of the first turn, we see it's a 3-6-4 Corey Tolliver from Beaver, West Virginia. Open B class coming up next. Matt Sorge, Peyton Harden, Evan Maynard, Isaac Cole, Gregory Tenney, Alan Blavos, Junior Smith. 10 seconds. Jeremiah Spicer, Leslie Lasik, Wade Remsing, Jared Miranda, Colton Hawk, and Brian Schell. Peyton Harden, wow, getting some real grip off the start line there out of Stamping Ground, Kentucky on his Trigger Concepts Fly Racing FMF machine. He's going to take it all the way to turn 2 now. And, oh, man, just a little bit of a stutter there, and he drops back 2 spots, regains 1, goes into the woods in second. Senior B 40-plus class. Coming up next, Gene Swidwell, Leon Whitaker, Frank DeFeo, Jeffrey Harms, Brent Belso, Mike Horwath, Adam Miller, Tim Taylor, Darren Darmos, Scott Matheny, and Igor Suarez. 10 seconds. And Boy, that seemed like such a long 10 seconds. I can only imagine what those guys felt like on the start line. Rounding that first turn, it is 4:13 on the helmet there. That's Brent Belso from Medina, Ohio. As we go to four-stroke B lights, TJ Fine, Alexander Patterson, Bryce Oldkire, Corey Mahalik, Tyler Daniels, Hunter Cleveland, Ethan Schultz. 10 seconds. Alexander Patterson had a good start. Let's see, they jockey for position out of that first turn. Gets a little loose, but still maintains the lead there. So Patterson from Cambridge, Ohio will be your early leader in the four-stroke B lights class. 250B coming up. Garrett Orbister, Austin Hovatter, Philip Dagnanes, Jacob Maynard, Alan Noetling, Dylan Gore, Bradley Chapman, Benjamin Bluen, Buggy Funk, and Jesse Groves. Green flag waves on the 250B class. 249, Philip Dagnanes out of St. Columbia, Quebec, Canada, going to grab the early lead in this one on his Nadon Sport St. Eustache Husqvarna of Canada factory connection back machine. And lo and behold, that's it. That is all of our nearly 200 competitors now headed out onto the race course here at the Summit Bechtel Reserve, and of course what we like to call the Scout Ranch here in Beckley, West Virginia. Of course, the Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC. And of course, the big question is, we know that Caleb Russell pretty much has got the championship locked up, but will someone else come out on top? Will Stu Baylor be as hungry as she was at the beginning of the season? The silly season is upon us and 2 races to go. Will someone else step up? And you got to remember, Jordan Ashburn got the whole shot. We saw him until dusty conditions took him out of the lead a couple of weeks ago. Will he be able to hang on to it for the win this time? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues right after this.
Consistent clutch feel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remain clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
The action is just heating up, and we're just getting started. Stay with us, live action on RacerTV.com.
The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X2. With a compact chassis perfect for exploring tight technical terrain. An ultra-quiet and smooth 850 class twin-cylinder engine. And next-level versatility with a 600-pound dumping cargo bed. No other side-by-side delivers this level of proven off-road performance. The all-new Wolverine X2 from Yamaha.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
This Racer TV broadcast is brought to you by AMSOIL, the first in synthetics. Specialized Turbo e-bikes, it's you, only faster. And by Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Second calls, and yeah, we are off and rolling, my friends, and we'll be joined in the booth shortly by our very own Johnny Gallagher. Johnny G going to join us with the rider's perspective as he was out there riding in the Pro ATV class just yesterday. A little bit different conditions. It was overcast. It was chilly all day yesterday. That was the case this morning. Today, this afternoon, not so much. Totally different. So again, round number 12, the Yamaha Racing Mountaineer here at the Summit Bechtel Reserve here in Beckley, West Virginia. We are not new to the title of the race, the Mountaineer. That's been familiar to the GNCC world, but the facility we're at, the Summit Bechtel Reserve, is new to us, and wow, is it beautiful. You guys are going to see, you saw a little bit there on the starting line. We'll give you more of an idea of it as we look at some drone shots in a little bit, but pretty awesome track we've got set up for you here today as you're taking a look now at the Yamaha Racing track map. A little more than about a 9-mile course for the riders out there today, and the thing we kept hearing yesterday, the thing we kept hearing this morning was old school GNCC, old school GNCC. And if you look at the track map, if you've been around the GNCC world for very long, you're probably thinking, yeah, he's right. That does look like some old school GNCC, and that's exactly what it is. A rocky terrain. Hopefully you caught Jared Bolton's track description there before the race today, but certainly should shape up to be an incredible race today. Of course, history on the line. Caleb Russell chasing championship number 7. Pretty much got it. Unfortunately, with that, Duvall being out, we won't get to see those two guys battle it out today. But certainly plenty of storylines as we're in what we call silly season here in the GNCC. And that right there, my friends, the Yamaha live drone, that is exactly what I was just talking about. Like I said, our first time here, and if you didn't make it out to round number 12 here, the GNCC Racing Series, maybe you thought, well, I've got my championship wrapped up. It's a new facility, not familiar with it. You missed out, my friends. I got to tell you, we're back here next year. You got to be here. It is absolutely beautiful. Let's take a look right there, one of the bridges here on the facility, and then you've got the tracks look like motocross tracks over there, actually like BMX pump tracks, so no shortage of amazing things to see and do here, and yeah, we're real fortunate to be able to race here. Pretty amazing facility. So you got to look at what the facility looks like. Let's talk racing. We actually had a chance to catch up. We were talking about it being an old school GNCC, and we got a chance to catch up with some of our pro riders and get their perspective on coming in here to today's race.
Yeah, we're here at in West Virginia at the 12th round here today. So I missed 2 races. Had a shoulder separation, my right shoulder, so had another race, just unfortunate. I felt like I felt good coming back into the races after the summer break, and unfortunate injuries happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. So had a couple of weeks, I think 6 weeks today actually. It's been since the injury, so I've been able to ride a little bit, and I feel not too bad. The track here today is hilly and rocky, so 2 of the things that may wear it out a little quicker than I want. So I'm just going to go out today, have fun. I feel I just got done looking at the track again, and it looks fairly good. So not as rocky as I was told, and I'm just going to go out and enjoy it and have fun. I feel my fitness off the bike is there. I just have to. I maybe down a little bit bike fitness, but we'll just go out and see how it goes.
It seems to be a killer place, and not only that, they did a really good job with the track. I made the comment about the short track, but. So it is a little short for my liking with all the talk about how much land's here, but no, the GNCC crew threw together a phenomenal track for us this weekend. I've talked a couple times about the lines that have been getting formed, and as a pro rider, it puts us in a sticky situation. Either you take it and you're a cheater, or you don't take it and you get passed by the guy behind that does. So it puts us in a really difficult part, or it just puts us in a difficult position, and you're either a cheater or you get away with it, and you never know what's going to happen. So they did a great job last night ribbing off some of the lines. It was lines that, I'm not even going to lie, it was lines that I was walking and planning to take, because the guy behind you is going to. So it's good to see that they've taken the stringer out there, and I think it's going to be an awesome weekend of racing.
Just to be fighting for the lead, we've coming off being sick and a little injury. It's been a long road to get back to where I was, before, really around the Penton. So, I just want to be in the lead group, and hopefully put myself in position to fight for the win at the end.
Yeah, last race I bumped up to XC1 for the first time, and it was a little tough. I just with the conditions, with how dry and dusty it was, but overall I felt pretty good, and felt like I belonged up there, and made my way into 4th on the last lap, but unfortunately my bike succumbed to the dry conditions and I had a DNF. But overall it was cool to ride the big bike and get up there battling with the XC1 guys. So looking forward to doing that again this weekend and trying to finish strong.
Well, there you go, getting the word in there. Josh Strang, Stu Baylor, and I think I just saw Lane Michael go by. And then Ben Kelly. It was interesting to get Ben Kelly's perspective on running with these guys in the XC1 last round. Last couple of rounds, obviously he's running row 1, Johnny, and just kind of getting a feel for it. Next year will be his official rookie season, so, but it's got to be a bit of a confidence boost. Maybe still thinks he could have done better, but last race was an anomaly. That with the air filter situation, the dust, I think we'll get a more accurate representation of what Ben Kelly's capable of here today.
For sure, absolutely. We're going to see a much better representation. That looks like Stu Baylor on screen there, coming through the VP Fuels Pro row. Is that our leader?
I would imagine. I don't know that we've seen anybody else come through here.
All right.
And now the Monster Mile. Okay.
Now we're bouncing around. Oh, and back to the Parts Unlimited section.
All right. We're just perusing.
But no, with the Ben Kelly thing, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, last race, a lot of expectations. I can't tell you how many people in the 2 weeks in between, asked me, what are your thoughts on Ben Kelly? He was top 3 overall out of the XC2 class, and now he can't even do it, from starting from that row. And I'm like, man, guys, it's not that easy. It's not that simple. And more importantly, Ben had a good race going there about 3/4 of the way through. He had worked his way up into a top 5 spot prior to the issue with the air filter, where obviously they were not able to get that bike refired. So there we see one of the KTM. Oh, that was actually DQ. DQ, did you find Carl? Is Carl?
He did.
Carl, I got
a Snapchat last night, and Carl's kind of stole the show locally here this weekend.
Carl is the star of the show, and presumably that pit board said P11. DQ is Lane Michael's mechanics. We're going to do some backwards logic and reasoning. Lane Michael running P11 currently. Here's some XC2 riders working their way through. There is Evan Smith, a rider that was on the podium at our last round just 2 weeks ago at the Mason-Dixon GNCC.
I think he actually got the whole shot as well.
Oh, well, there you
this
go.
Afternoon.
And actually, that's big news for Evan Smith, because he is notoriously in GNCC here, which is ironic because he's a great sprinter, does very well in the National Enduros and the Sprint Enduros. But here, he seems to be a slow starter and works his way up as the race goes on. So here we see out to, looks to be the 2-mile marker, give or take. And I think that is one of the Baylor boys. Hard to tell which. If it is Stu, I don't see any dust in front of him, and maybe he's leading. So we'll see if maybe we can stay on that shot and see when these guys come through, so we can get confirmation of who is leading and what your top 5 are. Do we have what they checked in order from the finish? Is that refreshing yet? We're still waiting on that to
still
refresh.
waiting on that.
So there we go. There it looked like possibly Caleb Russell coming by, and there was another rider in there. So we still don't have a live scoring link here, guys, so we're working off a site. So top 3 riders have been by at the 1-mile marker. We cut away again, missed 2 that was in 4th there. Yeah, we're looking back at some XC2 guys here now. Oh, yep,
okay,
Stu Baylor, Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly, Trevor Bollinger are your top 4, followed by Jordan Ashburn in 5th, Grant Baylor 6th, Josh Toth 7th, Andrew DeLong 8th, Ricky Russell 9th, and Josh Strang rounding out the top 10 as they checked in at the completion of lap number 1.
So there we go. We're just talking about Ben Kelly, and then we get live in the racing action. This is going to be a more accurate race to what he can do, and there you go, top 3 to start. But how about Stu Baylor? Timing and scoring says 11 seconds, but I think from looking at that shot, Johnny, that's expanded a little bit.
Absolutely, and these are, Stu Baylor absolutely could excel in these conditions. They're tough, they're technical. Stu Baylor's a bulldog. A lot of these guys are going to ride this track with a lot of finesse, and Stu Baylor, I think, is just going to bulldog it, that's exactly what he's doing there. You saw he was not looking for a smooth line there. He was going up the gut, straight through the middle. Here is your 2nd place rider, Caleb Russell. That gap is closed down quite a bit. It was larger. Caleb Russell, see how he's up on the pegs, letting the bike float between. Caleb Russell, Ben Kelly look like carbon copies of each other going through there. Stu Baylor, straight up the gut, pin it, hit the biggest rock, don't care. That could pay off for him today, very big. There was Trevor Bollinger in the 3rd place ride on that 739 Rockstar Husky. So there are your top 4 checking through. I think I said 3rd, but that was 4th. And there is Ashburn, there is Grant Baylor, Josh Toth, Andrew DeLong, and that's a rider. Let's talk a little bit about that. How about Ricky Russell there? There's a rider I expect to see move forward very quickly today. Think about Ricky Russell, technical rock races, snowshoe. I mean, that's his jam.
He got off to a rough start, too. I think it was him just after the whole shot. He went down. There was some dust kicked up, but I think it was, Rodney, you probably know better. I think it was Ricky Russell, or you may have been looking at XC2 at that point, that went down there at the start and was last out of the XC1 heading into the woods.
You're right. I did turn my head and look at the XC2.
Yeah, I figured. I thought, well, as soon as I'm saying that, I'm like, no, he's probably watching the start for the next line. But, yeah, so he's already on the charge.
If I'm not mistaken, I think I did turn and see that Ricky was one of the last, if not the last, going into that third turn there. So that would make a lot of sense to see Ricky this far back. And I'm with you, Johnny. I have to be in total agreement with these conditions. You have to think that this might be conditions that play huge favor for Ricky Russell coming from that west coast and the mountainous terrain. I know, we've talked to him about it. The only difference is, it's a little different kind of mountains, but it's rocks. It's his type of forte, and even better news for him is the fact that he has been doing so well, riding so strong as of late.
Yeah, he's been riding well on all the tracks, and of the last 3 for sure, or last 2, including today would be 3. But and there's a lot of similarities between the last 3 tracks. They all have their loamy sections where the dirt's pretty decent, but it's usually mixed in with rock, and then there's a lot of super hard packed stuff with loose rock, which is what we're looking at right here, and that's where Ricky really seems to excel. If you think back to races like, again, Snowshoe winning that race, consistently a podium contender there, always did well at Masontown. That was a nice line by Ryder Lafferty there. Everybody else dropping out of that low line, and he just checked up early and took a nice smooth line across that off camber. It's another rider with a great pedigree in GNCC racing that seems to be getting better and better with each round this season. But yeah, Ricky Russell, one to watch. Definitely the 212 machine back there in the 9th place spot. It's going to be a hard row to hoe for him, because all those guys in front of him, I mean, that's the the murderer's row of who you don't want to have to pass at a GNCC. Those are the big dogs, and Ricky has proven he can run with those guys, but he's got to really get on the gas if he wants to get up there before those leaders get away.
Well, XC2 riders making their way through. Ryder Lafferty was your leader coming through there, by the way, if you didn't know that, Johnny.
Oh wow, I did not. That's
yes, had just barely at the finish line anyway, about a 2-second lead over Austin Lee, the Phoenix Racing Honda ride. 3rd place was Mike Witkowski, as we saw them going through there. There is the 300 machine now checking in. That's Ben Parsons. That's your 10th place ride in the XC2 250 Pro class. So it's Lafferty, Lee, Witkowski, 1, 2, and 3. Craig DeLong running about 3 seconds back and forth. Liam Draper coming off that big win a couple of weeks ago, back in the number 5 spot. Evan Smith, who we've seen on the podium several times this year, out of Jefferson, Georgia, at 6. Philip Cheney out of Canada in 7th. Then we got Dylan Yearberry out of New Zealand here with us at 270. Now there's a name I'm not familiar with, Yearberry. Bradley Cox at 411 out of South Africa, another rider I'm not so familiar with. And like I said, Ben Parsons out of Orlando, Florida. So New Zealand and South Africa both being represented with a couple of new faces in that XC2 class top 10 here this week. And good to see the challengers there. Seen Jesse Ansley going by in the XC3 class, the FMF XC3 class. He is trying to chase down Jake Froman and Chase Colville. They were in a host of traffic that might have been each other. That I looked up and I seen that number 1, and so Colville, Froman, and Ansley right there together. Lipscomb was only about 7 seconds behind them. That's Jason Lipscomb, the number 704th in 5th place. The 506 of Logan Kiddick out of Farmington, Minnesota. 6th place, Mike DeLosa out of Gillette, Pennsylvania, the number 70. And again, an amazing class, this FMF XC3 125. It's not the most I guess heavily attended class. It don't have a lot of riders, but the great thing about this class is those that do race this class, wow, it makes for a very exciting day every time the green flag waves for this one, Johnny.
Definitely, and I think today could be a wild card. We saw a new first-time winner in Jake Froman just 2 weeks ago at the Mason-Dixon GNCC, a rider that we've seen competing in the GNCCs off and on for many years. But to see him get up there, get that first win, big confidence booster for him. And also, when you think about it, rock races are the one place that you really see some specialists shine. I don't know Chase Colville's pedigree. Jake Froman, I know from Illinois. You wouldn't normally consider that a rock area, but he's run the National Enduros, and he's run some other hard enduro type stuff, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. So he has a lot of experience. Jesse Ansley, although now living in Pennsylvania, we know he's the Florida boy. Yeah. So if there were a track where Jesse Ansley was going to really struggle, you would think this would be it. I mean, you could say coming into this race, obviously Ansley, a guy that's routinely finished in the top 20 overall, in some races top 15 overall. He's kind of heads and tails above the rest of that class on paper after Cody Barnes, was forced to miss the rest of the season with an injury. But right now, it's proving otherwise. I mean, these guys, they smell blood in the water, and they're going after Jesse, and they're going after a win.
Yes, they most certainly are, and it's really elevated the intensity of the battles. It's made it a lot of fun to watch from spectator's point, and it also breathes life into that class, I think, and gives other folks hope, because, I mean, I'm sure a lot of people look at it and say, there's no way I'm going to beat Jesse Ansley. And, you know, talking about him being the sand guy, being from Florida but living in PA now, you know, what really surprises me, Johnny, and we see this all the time, you know, we see these guys that have these things in places they excel, but it seems like once the confidence level gets there and they get a few race wins under the belt in different conditions, different terrains and stuff like that, they have as much confidence in this in what I would consider a 180 terrain compared to what they're normally known for, you know. So, you know, confidence, I think, has a lot to do with that. And Jesse, well, obviously he's got it for good reason right now.
Yeah, and absolutely, you know, that's not to take anything away from Jesse, calling him the Florida boy, or these guys are running tight. You know, I'm a big fan of the progress he's made ever since we've seen him. You know, coming on a mini bike. You know, he's a rider that had only ever ridden the sands of Florida, right. And you know, he's worked his way through the ranks.
But Jesse's not the only. I mean, we've seen this out of lots of guys.
With the confidence, like you said, I mean, you know, that confidence goes both ways. You know, right now Jesse Ansley riding a wave of confidence. I don't know if he's officially wrapped up that championship, but I think mathematically he's got to be pretty close if he hasn't already. And then, you know, when you take into consideration that you know, Chase Colville getting his first win, or Jake Froome getting his own first win, Chase Colville running up there in that lead for most of that race 2 weeks ago, those guys are riding a wave of confidence as well. So confidence is abounding in the XC3 class.
Yeah, and it's certainly heightened the level of competition and the ferocity, I think, between those guys when they're battling. I mean, like I said, when they're coming through 1.5, 2 seconds apart there at the finish line, you know they're that tight and tighter out there in the woods and in those open field sections. As we look at a couple more classes checking in at the finish line right now. Andrew Boggs, Matt Bruffy checking in out of the junior AB 25 plus class. We'll look at that class in just a moment, but right now Open A is what I'm going to take a look at. Evan Earl back with us in this one. This one should be a good one. We got names like Evan Earl, who is the son of Vance Earl, who is a highly known South Carolina racer. There's no doubt about that. Tristan Landrum out of Ohio, one of the top seeds out there. Brady Myers, another rider out of Walker, West Virginia, that's really been making a name for himself. Levi Keller, Zach Hugel. There's five. The top 5 names that we list right there are all 5 names that is just unbelievable riders. And then you throw in Kobe Beckett right back there as well in the 6th place position. This Open A class is another one of those classes that is very stacked as far as talent is concerned.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Evan Earl, again, we talked about his lineage with his father, Vance. And then, and I don't know if this is a new thing. I've never seen it before, but if you look on the left side of your screen there, all you folks watching at home, this is our new rotating top 10 board, which will scroll through the classes and show you the top 10 in the classes. I believe it's set on a 20-second. So if you sit there and you watch that left side, if you want to know how your rider's doing, currently on Open A. So that's a new feature for GNCC Live here on RacerTV.com. You can, if you're traveling and you're not able to check in with live scoring, you want to see how your rider's doing, they're going to get their 15 minutes of fame right there on the left side of the screen. Now looking at the 250A class. So yeah, that Open A class is definitely a class that I think if you look at those top 4 riders, they were wheel to wheel to wheel literally coming through scoring. And one rider that sticks out, and that to me, I know you had mentioned West Virginia boys of Brady Myers and the other Ohio boy that was in 2nd there of Tristan Landrum. But, you know, back in that 4th place spot, and I don't know if he's actually from West Virginia or Ohio, but Levi Keller is a rider that Bainbridge, Ohio. You know, he's right there down there on that West Virginia Ohio line. I don't know what it is. He runs a series down there in Southern Ohio, Northern West Virginia, that they run a lot of rocky, gnarly tracks. And this guy absolutely just screams when the conditions get like this. I'm going to tell you right now, watch Levi Keller. He's in conditions like this at Masontown, Snowshoe, a few other times. We've seen him get up into the top 15 overall out of the Open A class. Yeah,
amazing kid, amazing rider. There's no doubt about it. Saw Grant Baylor's pit board there, eyes forward and focus basically. Look, actually, it was Stu's pit board, I guess, but I guess, you know, they're just trying to keep him calm. There's not a lot to tell him up there. I mean, he knows what's going on behind him. He's got a lot of guys that's trying to chase him down right now.
Absolutely, and I mean, you couldn't have a better guy on the pit board than AG. You know, Alan Gravett, a multi-time, you know, world-class race winner in enduro and off-road races many years ago. Not that many years ago, sorry, AG. Don't want to make you sound old, but you know, he's been working with the Baylor boys and many other riders. You know, he's ran for and coached on an unofficial capacity, mentally coached a lot of riders over the years. He has just a plethora of knowledge, and he's he's one of those guys that I've seen him in the craziest of conditions. You know, his rider, it just absolutely in the worst spot on the track, and he's down there helping her, or they're in the pits, and he never loses his cool. So that's the kind of guy you want talking to you on the pit board when you're leading a race, and you got guys like Caleb Russell and Ben Kelly and the rest chomping at your heels. Stu Baylor's strong mentally, but AG just helping him through it.
I know we talk a lot about the A classes and so forth, Johnny, but if you look, you see that there are B classes, which is our intermediate level riders out there, and 200 B class is what is scrolling on the screen right now. And you know, some of these kids, you know, we have the opportunity sometimes to meet and get acquainted with some of these kids as they make their way up through the youth ranks. Some riders opt to go B class, some riders opt to go A class. We saw 2 weeks ago Joe Cunningham actually was going to run A. They got together and thought, well, let's run the B class just to see where we're at on that one. They ran the B class. He waxed them and went out and rode the A class. He's riding the A class today. So, you know, so we'll see some of those youth riders that are moving up in these B ranks. We'll see, riders that have never graced us with the youth classes in these classes too. But these B classes, I think, oftentimes, Johnny, are a whole lot of fun to take a look at as.
Well, so you're looking at the future of GNCC. You know, these are riders that not all that long ago, you know, some of the riders that are up and running in the top 10 overall right now were B riders or A riders themselves. So we always look back, and it's kind of like a crystal ball, a little glimpse into the future.
Yep. 200 B class, taking a look at this one, we got Ezra Judd, the 402, leading that one out of Cookeville, Tennessee, and Ezra Prine out of Shinston, West Virginia. Ezra's not a name you hear very often. Kind of neat that you got these guys running 1 and 2 in that 200 B class out there. Patrick Murray, the 459 from Chester, Virginia, and third. Max Russ out of Iron Station, North Carolina, is fourth aboard the 219, and Trent Gaither out of Olin, North Carolina, the 354, rounds out the top 5. Good cross-section of different states there, Tennessee, West Virginia, Virginia, and North Carolina, all being represented there in the top 5 of the 200 B class.
You know, real quick, you mentioned that you don't see that name Ezra very often. I mean, just thinking about it, I think the last time I've seen or heard the name Ezra was Ezra Lusk, obviously a former motocross and supercross great. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, I know it's a semi-common name in parts of the country, but those guys clearly not related, doubting that their parents even know each other, coming from, you know, different states that far apart, Tennessee and West Virginia. You know, likely that it's just a coincidence that after all these years of growing up, now they're battling each other here at a GNCC race.
Well, I will tell you this, Johnny, I know there's a lot of Johns and Johnnies in this world. Do you find it odd whenever you're talking to someone else named John or Johnny?
I don't, because there's a lot of Johns or Johnny.
Well, I have to admit, I've met more Rodneys in the last 5 years than I've ever met and knew throughout my entire life. I thought I was like one of the only Rodneys in the world. Now I'm starting to find out there are a lot. There is another Rodney Tomlin, as a matter of fact, from I think it's from Sweden or someplace, maybe Finland. He's an off-road racer, believe it or not.
Wow.
But anyway, yeah. I mean, to me, it's really odd to say my name in front of someone else's last name. I don't know. It just strikes me. I just wondered. I don't know. Just off topic, obviously.
Off topic. While we're waiting for some bikes to come through. No, I years ago, and I think I've told this story on air before. If you've ever watched Supercross and heard any of the controversial calls that they have to make at on the rulings, they'll say the FIM's John Gallagher.
Yeah.
And many years ago, he used to work before he worked for the FIM and AMA. He was a tech. He was in charge of tech, the head technical director for the company that put on the Stadium Series for ATV racing back in the day, and I raced that series in I believe it was 1999. First time I went to tech, you know, my paper had my name on it, and I came pulling up and it said Johnny Gallagher, and he looked at me and says, "Is this some kind of joke?" And I was like, "No, absolutely not." Well, why? And he goes, "My name's Johnny Gallagher." I said, "Well, so is mine." So yeah, it's been a number of years since I've seen John, but I have a doppelganger that's about 20 years older than me running around. Maybe not 20, sorry. He's a little bit older than me, running around out there somewhere. So
that's pretty cool. Right now, 42 minutes, working on 43 minutes into this race, Johnny Gallagher and Johnny GNCC Gallagher. And again, Stu Baylor, last check, continuing to lead this with Caleb Russell in second. The newbie there in the XC1 class, Ben Kelly, the 530 out of Harwinton, Connecticut, just moving up from the XC2 class after capturing that championship in that number 3 place. Bollinger 4th, Jordan Ashburn in 5th, Grant Baylor in 6th, Josh Toth, who won the XC2 class last year. I don't know why. For some reason, whenever I'm in those opening ceremonies, I get those guys mixed up. But Ben Kelly, both these guys, and I think it's really neat. I've seen so many people out of that Northeast area, the New England area, that have been coming down and racing in the last few years. And I have to say, I think that Ben Kelly and Josh Toth probably led the way for a lot of those, to be honest with you.
Yeah, in recent times, I would agree. Obviously we had riders like Nate Canny and some others previous, but that's at this point a generation ago.
Right.
When I believe it was 2015 when we saw, it might have even actually been 16. Ben Kelly, Josh Toth showed up, and whenever, it's funny because whenever we said their names, we always said it together because they were always together on the track. They were always battling each other. If they had good days, they were both having a good day. If they had bad days, they were both having a bad day.
Yeah.
So whenever you talked about them, you talked about them in pairs, and having to get to know those guys over the last couple of years, a lot of people think that they've been lifelong best friends and all that, and it's kind of fed into it because of their rides coming up around the same time. They had a lot of the same support. They had a lot of the same opportunities. They ended up sharing a house last year, so ironically, and we've never really talked about it that much, but those guys were battling for the XC2 title last year, which obviously Ben Kelly won.
Yeah.
And they were living under the same roof. They were sharing a house, sharing a trainer, essentially sharing a team from the same part of the country. And they are friends, but more so from recently, from their experiences together. Growing up, they knew each other, but they weren't bestest of buddies or anything like that. And now they're kind of in the same situation again in XC1, both there again. Josh getting a little bit of a break from Ben the first 3 quarters of the season, moving up, and then with now Ben having that title wrapped up. And that's another thing. When we're talking about Ben Kelly, Mikey was pointing out earlier that a lot of people had questions about, well, what happened to Ben Kelly at the last race, or was he just not up to par?
That's kind of an unfair question, I think.
It is, but I think even by his own standards, he was probably not all that pleased with the outcome of the race, even barring what had happened to the motorcycle. But I tell you what, if you're looking for Ben Kelly to have an opportunity to have a confidence booster, I'll tell you what, today, I think this is a Ben Kelly track. He and Ricky Russell are the 2 tallest riders. We're not going to obviously limit this down. We've seen Caleb Russell win races, with being probably the shortest rider in XC1, if I'm not mistaken. We've seen him win rocky technical races where riders have their feet off the pegs a lot. So it's not all about height, and it would be tough to argue that Ben Kelly and Ricky Russell have a little bit of an advantage today with those long legs.
About 5 minutes or less, actually, before we expect to see our leaders checking in. Just saw the pit board over there, and it said P2 -5, and I think that may have been for Caleb, if I'm not mistaken. So it sounds like that maybe Caleb has gapped that 11, 12-second gap lead that Stu Baylor had, has closed that up now about halfway to about 5 seconds, or at least at last check for the KTM guys anyway. So we'll know more for ourselves personally here in just a few moments. I believe we'll see these guys coming through the FMF PowerPoint here just prior to tackling the finish region itself. So we'll keep an eye on the Racer TV cast, and there's a guy that we're not so used to seeing sitting in this circumstance and situation. That is Thad Duvall. He is here with us today, but not racing, and it's not because he doesn't want to, by no stretch of the imagination. A training incident on Tuesday basically destroyed his knee. He got it caught in a rut, didn't go down or anything like that, but twisted his knee, tore like a meniscus, and totally ripped another thing. I think he said he had a fractured femur or whatever. So basically he jacked himself up pretty good, and he says as of right now they don't know what the recourse for getting healed back up is going to be, whether it's going to require surgery or when it's going to require surgery or anything like that. So we'll be waiting for more news from Thad Duvall. So tough, bad. And while we're talking about that, Johnny, right there through the top 3 coming through, Baylor, Russell, Kelly, and things are tightening up just a little bit here as these guys push it hard now towards this finish line. So this will be pretty interesting. By the time these guys reach the finish line point itself, I think that we could see maybe a new leader and some position changes taking place there. We'll see if Stu Baylor's able to rise to the occasion with the pressure that's being applied. There's
Ashburn has gotten around Bollinger, so that was Ashburn, then Bollinger. So that would be 4 and 5.
Yep.
So that is your top 5 here through at the FMF PowerPoint. Now here comes the 6th place rider of Josh Toth. Another rider, again, we were just talking about there is Grant Baylor, the 314T, the Energy Racing machine there in the 7th place spot, and Ricky Russell up to 8th. So Russell's gone only up 1 spot. He's gotten around, or there is Strang. They've both gotten around DeLong.
Toth actually got around Baylor, as a matter of fact. So,
okay. Yep.
Yeah. So Toth was 7th when they came through a few moments ago. 6th. He is now. Grant Baylor's dropped from 6th to 7th. So, and Ricky Russell getting around DeLong. So a few changes back there. But again, I got to wonder. I have to think that something's brewing up front there as we charge toward that finish line right now, with as tight as things are getting between Baylor, Russell, and Ben Kelly right now.
Yeah, they just came by on screen there, and a little bit of room in between them, but they can all see each other in the longer straight sections. And but what the real story here is, look at, it was basically your top 11 wheel to wheel at the end of lap number 1, and now there's a considerable gap. I'm going to say upwards of 30 seconds, if not more, back to Jordan Ashburn in the 4th place spot.
Wow.
That's a big gap there. The top 3 have either picked it up or something happened to get these guys fanned out like they are. There is Bollinger by there, the 739 machine in 5th. There is Toth in 6th and Baylor in 7th. Now the other Baylor leading the way, and here he comes through the finish, Rodney.
Yes, it is. And now we got reports that he was about 5 seconds behind there a few moments ago, and we'll see what that gap is looking like now. It was 11.2 seconds at the end of lap number 1. Stu Baylor had over Caleb Russell 6.5 seconds now, with Ben Kelly at 3.3 seconds. Even though we didn't see any changes taking place there, they see Stu Baylor in just ahead of him, and right now I have to wonder, Ben Kelly, I have to be wondering what he's thinking. He's got both these guys basically in sight, especially Caleb Russell just ahead of him right now. This guy's got to be feeling pretty stoked right now, and I'm sure thinking, I want to be up farther ahead, but probably might be laying back just a little bit, not trying to put any pressure on Caleb. Or would you think it would be a little different scenario for him?
Actually, I think if I had to coach Ben, or if I had to be in his head, I would be in the catbird seat right where he's at, exactly where he wants to be. I mean, he can see the leader, he can see the guy who's won more races than anybody in the last 5 years, and they're within sight of him. Unless, I mean, everybody has a different strategy, but I would not think, if I was Ben Kelly, that I would want to be out front. The last thing I would want to do is let those guys see the lines I was taking, what I was doing. Like, basically, if you think about it, he's sitting in a classroom right now.
Yeah.
He's got 2 of the best riders on the planet. Not that he himself isn't one of those, but these guys have so much experience, and he's just kind of sitting behind them, able to key off their lines, their braking points. And when they get into lappers, he's going to be an even bigger advantage because they're going to have to move the lappers out of the way. So he's in the spot right now. I'll tell you what, a rider that is really seeming to be on the charge, that 212 of Ricky Russell, he has pulled away a little bit from Josh Strang now, and Andrew DeLong there back in where we're at now, but DeLong back, I think, still top 10 in 10th place there. And we were talking about confidence a little bit earlier, Rodney. Andrew DeLong, last race, 4th place overall.
Yeah.
Talk about a comeback, talk about a ride, getting you back on the map. And here he is, still within, basically within sight of a top 5 at this point.
Yeah, we haven't even, I mean, we're just now approaching the conclusion of hour number 1. So 2 hours and still lots of things can happen out here. There's Lane Michael into the pits. Is that an early pit stop for him?
It is, and he lost a lot of time that lap. He's basically the only rider that seems to have lost the draft on the lead there. He was in 11th, but he was right with those guys at the completion of lap number 1. Now he's in 11th.
25 seconds back.
25 seconds back of Andrew DeLong, and he just stopped for goggles, probably lost another 10 seconds there. But don't count Lane out. If I could point out a track that this track mimics most closely, it would be the Masontown GNCC, and Lane Michael did some amazing things there in the years that we raced there. Top 10 overall out of the A class one year.
Yep.
So he can ride the rocks, he can ride the slick stuff, he can ride the technical stuff. So who knows what happened there on lap 2? But the big change, I think, is, man, we're so used to seeing these XC2 guys up in contact with our XC1 guys. They're not even close.
No, it's we're waiting on Ryder Lafferty to check in right now. He was 12th place overall after lap number 1. Austin Lee just barely 2 seconds behind him in the number 2 spot, was 13th overall.
There you go. There's your new leader, Austin Lee out front. Mike Wachowski second. and that looks to be Craig DeLong in the 3rd place spot.
How about it for the Phoenix Honda Racing ride of Austin Lee, finally getting things put together. And I know Austin's been a part of the Honda program with JCR a few years ago and graduating to the Phoenix Honda Racing program here in this season. And I know that Austin had some pretty decent races in the early part of the year, but at the same time, in my mind's eye, seemed to be struggling.
Is this a new leader, or did we miss Stu Baylor?
Mercy.
Oh. Okay, apparently we missed Stu Baylor and Ben Kelly, so Caleb Russell back to the 3rd place spot is what our producer is telling us. So the top 2 did go through there already. Stu Baylor leading, Ben Kelly 2nd, Caleb Russell. Whoa, Caleb Russell lost a lot of time,
yes,
folks.
He did.
That was a 34-second gap back to Jordan Ashburn. Now it's maybe 10 seconds. Caleb Russell went down, lost some time, so he's going to be on the charge to try and get back up to the lead duo there.
Man, Trevor Bollinger trying to latch on to Ashburn right now, and Bollinger's another rider that one would expect to be doing well in these types of conditions, coming out of North Carolina and stuff, where there's some mountainous terrain, especially around the Morganton area. But again, still trying to come back from an illness that he contracted over the summertime, and still just trying to build health back up right now, but still a great strong run for the 739 of Trevor Bollinger right now.
Yeah, he's riding well, and in his pre-race interview, he talked about how pleased he was to be up there battling for the lead at the last race throughout much of the event, just coming back from so much time off. So definitely, a rider that it's kind of a what have you done for me lately kind of thing in GNCC or all forms of racing. A guy misses a race or two and everybody writes him off and forgets about him. But if you go back to the beginning of the year, Trevor Bollinger was up there battling for the lead at many races, and the biggest question we were asking is, well, man, how long until he was on the podium so many times?
Right.
How long until he breaks through for that win?
Yeah, and unfortunately for him, that it's going to maybe take a little longer than what was originally anticipated, or maybe he was on track for, but he's still a rider that's on track for one.
Talk about on track. There is a battle on track, and it is the top 3 in XC2, wheel to wheel. You got leading the way, it is Austin Lee, 2nd place Mike Witkowski, and 3rd place Craig DeLong. Those guys literally within inches of each other. We're seeing this out in the nice open expanses of this, this beautiful facility we're at. But I tell you what, those woods down there, they're nasty. So those guys are battling wheel to wheel down in there, and it's a whole lot more bar banging, a whole lot more hitting the ground, and rocks flying everywhere.
Well, we know we got some rain yesterday, Johnny, some light rains and so forth, and I was told that the woods never really got, the forest floor really never got wet or really got any moisture in it, just some of the open fields and stuff. I'm noticing here today these open fields yesterday, which were perfect moisture content because of the overcast skies and the little bit of rain that we got, starting to dry out here today. I also noticed that it's very dry in the woods right now. Conditions, were they dusty yesterday? Do you think they have the possibility of developing into some dusty conditions today?
It's dusty, but it's not dusty like it was obviously 2 weeks ago.
Right.
I mean, that was one of the worst dust races I've ever seen. Here we see XC3 leader Jesse Ansley, unless I don't believe we've seen another XC3 rider check in prior to him.
Yeah,
so
Ansley's got the lead in this one, and I don't know where Chase or Jake, they haven't even checked in yet.
That is not a 125, that is a 4-stroke there. So looks like that 2-second, 3-second gaps we're talking about, that is an XC2 rider, Alex Teagarden, or as Rodney likes to say, Howie's dad. He coming through there. We're back to the a little further back now. We're seeing some 250A riders come through, and there's an open A rider. There is Levi Keller. So don't know if he has gotten away from that battle of Evan Earl. And there's Brady Myers. So he's gotten around Myers. There's Simon Johnson. That's a 250A rider. I don't know where he was running in that 250A class. Not able to make these guys out as they come by. Do we have Mikey with an update?
Yeah, just small update for you guys. This time around, Jesse Ansley come through the pit, got a splash of fuel. So your XC3 guy getting a little fuel on that lap. Nothing major, but it's pretty calm down here otherwise.
So Mikey Waynes with that update. Jesse Ansley taking some fuel. So you got to wonder, fuel mileage, this has only been 2 laps complete or an hour. I guess at that point, they're calculating this to be a 6-lap race, and they're concerned about being able to make it an hour and a half to go 3 laps to do a 1-stop. Better on those 125 machines, especially the 2-strokes, a little bit harder to calculate fuel mileage, just because of elevation, temperature, all kinds of things like that do factor in. Here we see a rider in and fueling down at the end of what looks to be the pro row there. That's one of the number 34. That is another one of the New England riders from the 250A class, I do believe. I see the trail jester guys helping out there. Looks like they're making some adjustments to his machine. Don't know who that is. If we look back into the 250A class, they're out and about. There is, is that Evan Earl? No, that's Tristan Landrum, the 704 machine. So Levi Keller had already gone by. There's Brady Myers, the 821 machine. So this is your Open A coming by, and there is 29. That is the Simon Johnson, I believe, from that 250A class. And that may have been Evan Earl there that just went by. So I think Evan Earl might be back to 4th in that. Oh, no.
Yeah. He checked in the lead with an 11.5-second lead over Tristan Landrum, who was 4 seconds over Levi Keller, who was now 6 seconds ahead of Brady Myers, your 4th place ride.
As they came by on screen there, Keller had gotten around Landrum. So Keller up to that 2 spot now. Don't know, obviously it's possible Landrum may have pitted there in between. And and here is Cope Beckert on screen coming in. That was the 6th place rider when we last saw in that Open A class. So still within striking distance of those guys.
Yep, up to 5th place now. About 1 minute and 10 seconds back behind Myers right now is Cope Beckert out of Zanesville, Ohio, the 521 machine. As the Open A class riders are checking in with us, we've seen, as Johnny pointed out, the 250A riders have checked. Some of those guys have been checking in with us. And Nathaniel Tasha is the leader in that one. The 53-second lead over Brody Johnson, and Simon Johnson another 15.3 seconds back. And you know, this is one of the things that keyed me in on these New England Rippas that we talk about so much. Nathaniel Tosh out of Falmouth, Massachusetts, the 369, is another rider from out of the New England area that really seems to be well, adapting to the conditions and the race scenarios that break down here in GNCC racing, doing it convincingly too, as he's pushing nearly a minute now at the end of lap number 2. Just past an hour into this race now, as we continue to look at that 258 class. Tasha, Johnson, and Johnson. Ryder LeBlond in 4th, and newcomer to the 258 class. I think he won the Youth National Championship, raced and won the 250B class 2 weeks ago, and now out here in the 258 class in a 5th place position, the 432 of Joe Cunningham.
Yeah, and running top 5 with guys like that is nothing to joke about. It's definitely a fast class, and like you said, he put a pretty good whooping on that 250B class, but you never know where you're going to stack up until you actually race it.
Right. Yeah, and that like my hat, I tip my hat to those guys to just test the waters and see where everything was headed. And obviously, he's a top 5 guy in this 258 class, at least early in this race. So certainly a good place for him to start his career. And he wanted to ride Open A, but he's only like 15 years old, so he can't ride that big a bike. But the kid's amazing. He can ride any bike. You put it under him, he can twist the throttle and make it go and handle it. That's the important thing. I mean, anybody can twist the bike and make it go fast, but being able to do it fluidly and in total control. And JoJo is one of those kids that can do that. Tyler Braniff checking in, the 421 in the 6th place position. Cole Whitmer now in 7th aboard the 518 out of Amity, Pennsylvania. Yorksville, Ohio's home to Dakota DeVore, the 526 in 8th. 9th place then Andrew Gross out of Hancock, New York, and Josh Farrell rounding out your top 10. Actually, it's Brendan Poling up from 11th, the 326 out of Grafton, West Virginia, rounds out your top 10 now in that 250A class. Let's go back and look at the rest of that Open A class. I know we were talking about Evan Earl, Tristan Landrum, and a few of those guys. This is what it's looking like after 2. We've only actually got the top 6 in. Evan Earl with an 11.5-second lead. At least it was over Tristan Landrum. We're thinking now that Levi Keller's gotten around Landrum. Keller in the 2nd, Landrum in the 3rd, Brady Myers in 4th, Cope Beckert in 5th. Zach Hugel has checked in out of Seneca, Pennsylvania. He's in the 6th place position, waiting on Josh Lee, the 210 in 7th, 227 of Dylan Dela Cruz in 8th, Corbin Patton, the 361 in 9th, and Zach Tufsel, the 58, rounding out the top 10. As we continue to watch riders checking in at the finish line right now, we continue to look at some of these other classes. As you look there on the leaderboard on the left side of the screen, that is your XC1. Actually, that's your overall top 10 overall, and all the overall top 10 riders are XC1 riders. That's something out of the norm from what we've seen from previous races in this year. But again, remember, Ben Kelly has moved up, one of the riders that certainly led the charge through time adjustments in that XC1 class from row 2.
One rider that I expect to see put on a charge and get up, I don't know where he was on the overall, we can see the top 10 on the screen there. Craig Duvall, I think we're going to expect to see, not expect, but won't be surprised to see him work his way up into that top 10. He really thrives in these conditions. Looked like he was pretty far back on the first lap, and then in the second lap, he worked his way up to third and was within sight of the top 2.
14th place overall is what we're looking at right now. And you look at the big picture in that 14th overall, he's just barely 5-6 seconds out of the top 10 right now. So Johnny, good analogy, good call on that one. We'll be keeping an eye on that. He may not be the only one that is able to grace the top 10 today in that XC2 class. Well, we're going to take a look at some more classes coming up here in a few moments. Give these riders an opportunity to check in with their second laps complete here in southern West Virginia at Beckley, of course, at this Summit Bechtel Reserve and this Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC. And of course, the big question is right now, what's going to happen up front? Can Stu Baylor hang on to the lead? Will Caleb Russell be able to make things happen? And what about Ben Kelly? He's already up to second. Could he surprise us all? Stick around. GNCC Live continues after this.
Your bearings shoulder the burden whenever you tow, haul, or stomp the gas. AMSOIL delivers powerful protection for bearings and other critical components so you can drive with confidence. To demonstrate, an independent lab put AMSOIL synthetic motor oil head-to-head against a leading competitor in a 100,000-mile test. AMSOIL provided far superior wear protection and kept engine bearings looking like new. Get your truck the protection it deserves at amsoil.com/auto.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association. Racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
I'm a junior pro surfer from Maui, Hawaii. I actually tried to homeschool in 8th grade and just didn't meet my needs. I came to On Track in 9th grade, and from the beginning I really liked it.
The mission at On Track School is to make academic success completely possible for each and every student while they're out pursuing their personal goals.
Everything is just super easy with On Track. I get to take my computer on the road whenever I need to. It makes it very easy for me to get all my work done.
If you're looking for a program that provides flexibility and a program that you can take anywhere that fits your lifestyle, then On Track is for you. So come check us out at ontrackschool.com and go get it.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher and, of course, Mikey Waynes as we come to you from the Summit Bechtel Reserve and the Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC. And, you know, not only does Racer TV bring you all the action here at the GNCC every week, but Racer TV also provides coverage for many other events, including Loretta Lynn's Amateur Motocross, Ricky Carmichael Daytona Amateur Supercross, GNCC, and ATV Motocross banquets and more. Check racertv.com on the World Wide Web for complete airing schedules. And back here at the racetrack as we check in with the Monster Energy Team Green Pits, a little conversations going on. I'm sure they're trying to figure out how to get their boys up front, and we'll see how things work out for them as we check in with this. Now see this, Stu Baylor out front. Just got a report at the 6.5 mile marker that Stu Baylor was about 24 seconds ahead of Ben Kelly. Ben Kelly basically had a shadow of Caleb Russell. And I'll tell you, what a great start to this his second showing in the XC1 class. Johnny, amazing ride for this this kid already. Got to be loads of confidence, and I know coming into this weekend, he was excited about getting his second opportunity to line up against these guys, and we had a chance to catch up with him here at Racer TV.
I'm really excited for next year, for 2020. It's going to be my first full season in XC1. So I'll be a rookie there, and I'm looking forward to learning. But I feel like I'm definitely prepared and ready for the jump up. So looking to try to battle for podiums and hopefully race wins right off the bat, and not have a big learning curve, which is why I'm moving up at these last 3 rounds, and just excited to be with the KTM factory racing team.
And we're back, and as we watch that on screen there, Rodney, we're watching the track map, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that is now live tracking.
Yeah. They have points out there where they check. So they went through a point that it looks like that Caleb Russell may have gotten back ahead of Ben Kelly.
So you said they were wheel to wheel. It seems, according to what they're showing there, again, Caleb Russell in second, Ben Kelly third, Stu Baylor first. So they're showing the tracking on the track there. They're showing that Caleb Russell has made the pass on Ben Kelly. So this is a new development. Over the years, we've had the ability to get our track crew check in with us. We've had the ability to obviously see on screen from our cameramen, but now we've got live tracking that can actually show us when riders have made a pass.
Well, we got Stu Baylor. If you're watching this track map, I don't know whether or not something's going on there, but it's got the showing that things are starting to tighten up. If that be the case, this could get pretty interesting. Stu may be having some issues out there. If that track map locator is absolutely 100% correct for Stu Baylor at this particular point in time. Taking a look at some aerial shots from our Yamaha live drone right now in this beautiful Summit Bechtel Reserve. Johnny, I don't know if you had a chance to check out some of the stuff. Well, you did. Obviously, you raced. You saw a lot of the terrain, but we've only seen just a very small fraction of 12,000 acres worth of property here.
I'll tell you what, it's a humbling experience. If you go ahead, anybody who's watching from the track here or listening to us at the track, do yourself a favor. Open up your Google Maps and just click your auto location and zoom out. And you can actually look at where you're standing versus how big the facility actually is. It's mind-blowing.
And here's the interesting thing. When we got here to the front gate, or what I thought was the front gate, you made that turn with the Yamaha banners. You turned on State Highway going up here. So I'm there. Keith ought to be right around the corner right up here,
45 minutes later, I actually had to make a fuel stop. And all joking aside, I'm glad I stopped for fuel before I got here, or I would have been coming in on fumes and have to, many years ago, I forgot to fill up coming into one of the races and had to borrow some gas, the dozer gas from Jeff Russell to make sure I had enough to get back to the gas station. So I might have had to do that again. Yeah, it's a long drive back in here. And then you come back here, and, I mean, Rodney, right out the front of our Racer TV studios, we're looking at state-of-the-art, lodging facilities. There is a restaurant, fine dining establishment, all here in, pardon the expression, the middle of nowhere. Actually, the middle of somewhere.
That's it. Middle of somewhere, West Virginia, by God. And I'll tell you, it is I'm all for it. I love this place. I love the feel. Here's the beauty of it. With this amount of property, tell me, how long would it be if we could probably come to this property, make a new track, and never cross the same lines twice for probably 20, 30 years, I imagine.
Yeah, we probably could. I don't know that they're going to let us expand our racetrack quite that far, but
just theoretically speaking.
Absolutely, no, you're 100% right. I mean, on 12 or 13,000 acres, I mean, you could make a new track. By the time you got back to the part of the track, be it 8, 10, 15 years down the road, it would have grown over to the point where you would never know you raced there. But you can see it's getting chewed up on screen there. That's the FMF PowerPoint. Got some dust kicking up, some loose rocks flying around, and there is Ben Kelly. So in seconds still is what they're saying.
Yeah.
So that is still Ben Kelly. So Caleb Russell was on his rear wheel last we had seen, and now Caleb Russell has dropped back to, there he is.
Wow.
So he's about a good 12 to 15 seconds back of Ben Kelly. And last we saw Caleb Russell, he had a shadow behind him that was the 4th place rider of Jordan Ashburn. Looks like he has shaken him. That was all the way back at the 2-mile marker. These guys are much farther along now. We should be seeing Stu Baylor any minute here if he has not already come through this shot at our Parts Unlimited section here. And looks like we might be getting some celebrities coming into the booth here in just a moment as we wait and watch for. There he is, the 514 machine of Stu Baylor on screen. And Dad, you can jump in my seat there, have a seat. Stu Baylor leading the way. We know Ben Kelly back into the 2nd place spot. And is that Ben Kelly there? It is not. So we're still waiting on Ben Kelly. So that last we had heard a 34-second gap from Stu Baylor back to Ben Kelly, and then about another 15 seconds back to Caleb Russell. This is Ben Kelly coming. There's the 530 machine, the rookie XC1 Pro on the hammer and trying to track down big Stu Baylor.
Wow. Well, welcoming to the booth, Thad Duvall. Thad, under normal circumstances on a Sunday, we're watching you and talking about you going through these sections. But today, you get to come sit with us, unfortunately.
Yeah, this is a little better than watching it in the pits. You can see a lot more. But yeah, bummer for sure to be here watching it. But yeah, decided to drive down and support all my friends and stuff. So yeah, it's a little different atmosphere this weekend for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I know heartbreaking times a year. The last couple of years, you've had your struggles at the end of the seasons, it seems like. But is that something? Are you getting used to that?
yeah. By now, it seems like October really does it for me. But yeah, just got to put a whole year together. 2017, it was 6 days, just a simple crash, and then last year when me and Caleb came together on the start, and just yeah, this weekend just yeah, practicing Tuesday, normal, just trying to do my own thing, and just twisted my ankle, and yeah, it was pretty ugly from there.
Well, I'll tell you, hate to hear that, but it is nice to be able to sit down and talk with you a little bit. Not getting a chance to ride this this amazing-looking facility. What are you thinking about?
Yeah, it was awesome. I seen videos and stuff, and then to finally come in this morning and check it out, it's yeah, this place is awesome. Super bummed I'm not gonna be racing. I feel like pretty similar to the terrain I grew up riding and stuff, and
yep,
close to home. But yeah, seems like Ben Kelly's picking up the slack for sure.
No doubt about that. Kelly in and out of the pits there, Johnny Gallagher, and looks like we got another KTM rider.
Caleb Russell in the pits as well, getting some fuel, taking a drink bottle there.
Which it's still pretty early. Caleb's probably just feeling it out still.
We speculate all the time about you guys. Whenever you guys at this point in the race, it's this, and at that point in the race, it's that. It'll be nice to be able to maybe get the answers to some of these questions. So what is going through your guys' mind? We're an hour into this race. Caleb's back in the 3rd place position. First pit stop, maybe the only pit stop of the race at this particular point. So, I mean, is there a sense of urgency at all right now for Caleb?
I don't think, not as much as I think people probably think there is. But, yeah, probably another a lap, you'll start to see the intensity pick up a little bit. 3 hours is a long time, so kind of have to pace yourself a little bit. The track kind of looks a little rough in the woods, so it just makes for a long 3 hours. And seems like the lappers are pretty good here this weekend, so I don't feel like there's going to be an issue. But yeah, I don't think the urgency is quite there yet, Caleb.
Now, what about Ben? I mean, you guys know he's been coming all year. You know he's back there.
Yeah.
You feel him. You hear people talk about he's up in the overall. He's been on the podium with you guys a couple of times as far as the overall is concerned this season. once he steps up to the XC1 class, I mean, was he a rider that become a threat instantly for you? I mean, was he in the back of your mind there a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, for sure. You know, New England kids are starting to be on the map for sure, and I feel like, you know, now that he's been working with Charlie for a couple years, you know, he's been riding with Caleb, he sees the intensity, he sees the speed, and, you know, I feel like he's already matured past where maybe a couple of us that came out of the XC2 class was when we got in the XC1 class, and it's awesome that he's doing the last couple rounds in the XC1, getting his feet wet and learning the new speed. And I don't think people realize how big of a step it really is out of that class. I feel like, yeah, it's just different. I don't even know how to explain it. I've heard Caleb talk about it before and other people, but you know, I think Ben has really shown that he's matured and has figured it out, and yeah, he's killing it today for sure.
Yeah, riders, looks like they're finally starting to hit some lappers out there. Like Thad said, they're not too intense out there, and I imagine they're probably pretty readily easy to get out of the way. And there comes Caleb Russell now, as we saw Ben Kelly in a mix with some of those, some of that lap traffic. That gap seems to be opening up a little bit between second and third. But I mean, did it seem that big whenever they were in the pits?
It was a little bit bigger coming into the pits, and then it looked like Caleb was kind of on the push, trying to make up some time. And then he's definitely spent more time than Ben did in the pits. Not exactly sure of if there was some communication going on there. Here is Ben Kelly. There's your second place rider. We missed Stu Baylor coming through there. But again, you see Ben, how he hangs off the bike. He's so tall. He's got that tall, lanky frame. You know, he can be 2 lines over while his bike's still in the line to the far left. But, you know, interesting point here, guys. Looking at race time, they completed. Now, that gap's closing back down again.
15 seconds.
Yeah, 15 seconds.
He's coming back to the rear wheel of Kelly is what it looks like. We know it was a little more. There is Grant Baylor. So Grant may have worked his way up.
There's Ashburn, too.
Yeah, Ashburn. And it looks like they have. There's
Grant's
Josh
gotten
Jones.
around, so that puts Grant now in the 5th place position, if that's right, and that will drop Jordan back to 6th. Our new running order after 3 laps. Just to update you on that if you haven't been watching the top 10. Baylor, Kelly, Russell, Bollinger, Ashburn, Grant Baylor, Josh Toth in 7th, Ricky Russell in 8th, Josh Strang in 9th, and Andrew DeLong still back there in the number 10 spot.
There's your 4th place rider on screen, Trevor Bollinger, the 739 Rockstar Racing Husqvarna machine, working his way through in that 4th place spot. Now, Grant Baylor up to 5th, as you pointed out, Rodney gotten around Jordan Ashburn. Next rider through should be the 127 of Jordan Ashburn, right on cue. There he is. Josh Strang, now we're going back a camera shot. Josh Strang back in the 9th place spot when they checked in at 3 laps complete. Ricky Russell on screen. There is your 8th place rider. Again, we're jumping around a little bit on where these guys actually are. There's a little bit of a field section in between the 2 camera shots, so they're not quite as close as it looks on camera if you don't realize you're looking at 2 different shots there. DeLong was still in that 10th place spot overall and in the XC1 class. Real quick here, 1 hour, 15 minutes, and 20-some-odd seconds was the time for 3 laps. If we do the math, and we double that, 6-lap race, 2 hours, 31 minutes, that is not going to get it done, folks. They're going to have to make the difficult call. Are they going to make this a 7-lap race? And if they do, man, this is a rough course for 7 laps. I'll tell you that right now.
It's going to be a long 3 hours for sure. I feel like 2:31, I feel like they're going to go another lap for sure.
And again, we're assuming the pace stays the same. There's a lot of variables in there, but based off of 3 laps complete, Stu Baylor completed lap time 1 hour, 15 minutes, 27.649 seconds for 3 laps. So again, if it's a 6-lap race, just doubling that, we would be looking at a 2 hour and 31-minute race. His last lap time was a 25:36. So that would take you basically, even if you added another lap, it would still only be, what would that be? 2 hours and 55, 56 minutes in there. So it would still come in under 3 hours if they make it a 7-lap race. We don't get to make those decisions. That's live timing and scoring and the race officials. But man, a 7-lap race on a track like this is going to put them very, very close to that 2 hour mark, probably 2:55, 6, somewhere in there. And that's going to be a long, long race in rocky, tough conditions.
Yeah, that's like that. I've been there. I've been coming in. You're like, oh, we're going to get the 2-lap board. And you come in and then there's no 2-lap board, and it just like.
But you know you play that mind game with yourself. You're like, oh, it's cool. They're gonna give us the white next time.
Yeah.
Then, you're like, this is.
I've been there so many times. It's like, oh, we're gonna get the 2-lap board because it's kind of close, and you come through and you're like, oh man, I got 3 more laps of this. Oh, this is tough. But so yeah, it's gonna be a long race. Just by watching it, I haven't got it making it in the woods, and it does look pretty rough. I'm sure you got it full.
It was a handful.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was off day for me anyways. I had a lot of issues, but even still, the course had I been on my game, and it was a very, very challenging course. It was very unassuming looking when we pedaled it, because all the rocks were kind of hidden because no one had ever ridden here before.
Yeah, and that's funny because during the course description at one point, Ryan made the statement. He said when we laid the track out, there wasn't really any rocks on the course. He said, but now the track is covered in them.
It's true, and when we pedaled it, there was definitely rocky sections. There were a few rock gardens we went through. When you get down kind of to the bottoms of the valleys, there was definitely some rock lining, you know, erosion. The rock runs down to the bottom like that. So I wasn't surprised that it was there were rock sections, but man, I tell you what, my jaw dropped when we took off about a mile in and we hit one of the first sections that I thought, you know, might have a rock or two, and I don't think my tires touched dirt for like the next 2.5 miles. It was just loose rocks and sharp rocks and angry rocks, and you know, somebody came here weeks before us and teased all the rocks and called them names and made them real mad because they are out to get you. So yeah, it was a rough track. I know the guys that love rock races after the race on the ATV side yesterday were saying, oh no, it was really cool, you know, I liked it. I'm thinking, you guys just are not very bright. Nothing about that was fun. This morning, I know, in listening and seeing the battle that the girls were having in that morning 10 a.m. race, you know, they were wheel to wheel, the top 4 and then the top 3 throughout much of the race, and listening to them on the podium, I think they kind of all side more towards me than some of those silly ATV guys. They were like, man, this track was tough. It was rough, and it took a lot out of you. Look at that. That's a pretty cool shot right there.
Have you been on that bridge by any chance?
I'm scared of heights.
Are you? Well,
no, I'm kidding. I just haven't had an opportunity to go over there
yet. It's funny. It didn't bother me a bit, but I hear people talk about it. I get out there and you see people. They start freaking out whenever they get out there because you're out over the gorge, you're out over the trees and stuff. But wow, what a view whenever you get there. And if you see the rails on the side of the bridge, you can actually walk up the outside of the bridge. You know, you got the driving part, but then there's a walkway that takes you up even higher on that bridge, which I think
that thing's crazy.
So very nice. That right there across that bridge is a big part of the summit itself. A lot of the Boy Scouts stuff. You can see there's a BMX park over there, a skate park, all kinds of neat stuff. Yeah, it's this facility over $450 million.
Back to the rocks, you know, Ben Kelly's from New England. You think of New England and you think of rocks. So I feel like
Ben, I think
he's right at home, and I feel like he's in a really good spot because he has Stu in front of him, Caleb behind him. So it's like he's kind of sandwiched between the guys. So it's either he's catching Stu or Caleb's going to catch him, and all he has to do is latch on, and then Caleb will pull him to Stu. So it's like he's in a really comfortable spot right now, and I'm probably 90% sure he knows that too.
Well, and that's a good point. You know, we were talking about that right before you made it into the booth here. We were talking about how Ben Kelly feels about where he's sitting. You know, and you know, Rodney pointed out, do you think he would want to be further ahead? And my point was, I thought he was right where he wanted to be when he was in third, right behind Caleb. Now he's in second. The only thing I think, if he were to push the pace, I would think would be he just wants to get Stu inside it. Your 2 cents, would you want to pass Stu if you were Ben Kelly, or would you just kind of want to sit there and hang?
I think I would want to sit and hang and learn a little bit. You know, we're only an hour and a half in, so it's like you don't want to push too hard too early. I'm sure Ben is, he's probably in the best shape out of anybody right now, working with Charlie and all them guys. And yeah, I think he's smart enough to know that he doesn't need to really push to get out front that hard. And I feel like he's in a really good spot, and he knows that. And you know, I think he knows he has Caleb behind him, and if something does happen, he can just latch on and still be there no matter what. So he's in I think he's in a good spot, and he knows it for sure.
Johnny, you mentioned a few moments ago about the girls and talking about their racing there earlier today and the challenges they met. Well, Mikey Waynes happens to be standing by with this morning's race winner, Taylor Jones.
Hey, thanks, Rodney. Yeah, down here with Taylor Jones in the Rockstar Husky pits. You take a win today. You've been battling Becca Sheets. You battled injury earlier this year. It's going to come down to Ironman for you guys.
Yeah, it's definitely really close. I ended up breaking all of my fingers earlier this year, so I missed a couple of rounds. But it's tight right now. It's pretty much anyone's game going into Ironman. I got to make top 3 if I want any chance of winning the title. And, you know, anything can happen in this sport. So I'm just hoping to have a good run over there and try and put it in the middle of the box.
Put it in the middle of the box and take, I believe that would be your 3rd national championship. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm aiming for 3 in a row.
Aiming for 3 in a row. Taylor Jones down here at the Husky pit. And, of course, the battle will take place in a couple weeks at Ironman in Crawfordsville with her against Becca Sheets.
Ouch. Broke all my fingers. That right there, my friends, is certainly something that Dad, which would you rather do? Be in the situation that you're in right now, or break all the fingers on your hand?
I'd probably break my fingers. Then I could maybe still ride with maybe a recluse clutch or something. So
there you go.
Yeah. But
well,
yeah. How close is the girls?
It's going to come down to Ironman, I think.
So whoever wins?
No, I think Taylor pointed out if she gets a top 3, I think she can wrap it up. Yeah,
some great racing.
Very much on the table.
Yeah.
And, been a lot of battles, and it's crazy. How far that class and those girls have come. I mean, the numbers are up in the class and the battles, and a number of years ago, I remember you even made a comment. I think it was back in 2016 when it was Becca and Casey Martinez battling, and you and Caleb and several other guys came in from walking the track and said, man, it's just come so far in the last couple of years. When we're out there walking, you hear a bike coming, and I swear that like an XC2 guy has jumped out on the track.
And it's even elevated more now. I feel like it's, we cycle the track in the mornings, and we get to watch the girls, and man, it's like you watch them and you're like, holy crap, like that's crazy. They're doing stuff that, I feel like some of the XC2 riders could be doing, and it's awesome to see that grow and see so many girls in that class nowadays, and I feel like that's a cool future
class,
of the sport.
The WXC, but you realize there's 3 women's classes
that
line up in the
that's awesome.
There's a WXC, the premier women's class, and there's a women's class, which would, I guess, be B and A class riders, and then there's the women's novice class, and each one of those classes have at least 10 or more riders in it, and I think that's just great.
And to me, I think the biggest thing is when you watch the youth races, how many girls there are, both in the bike and ATV. And on the ATV side, I would almost venture to say it's almost half girls in the youth classes. So to me, for the future of women's racing, that is a powerful statement. I can remember, when I was young, there was a few girls that raced, and it was kind of almost, frowned upon. They were good, and especially in the youth riders, because I think girls kind of mature physically at a faster rate than boys. They're very competitive when they're younger, but then it was almost the social pressures of, well, you should be cheerleading or doing something else other than racing. This is a boys' sport. We're now, and GNCC, one of the spearheads of that. Our fearless leader, Carrie Jo Russell, a female herself, obviously, and she took the initiative a couple years ago to say, like, hey, we want to embrace women in racing. They did a big conference last year at the Daytona Supercross to get women in racing from all forms of motorsports together and talk about things they can do for the betterment and advancement of women's racing. And I think on the bike side, there's at least 3, or if actually Rachel Goodish as well, and Corey Steed. So 5 of the top 6 or 7 riders have factory support.
That's awesome.
And something else that I noticed in the women's class, that WXC class, the international flavor that we have. I mean,
but that speaks to GNCC and the United States, because these riders, if you look at Laya Sands and these riders, they go and they race against the boys because there aren't established women's leagues or classes for them.
Stuff like that.
So they go race against the men. So here they can come race against women in a highly televised and exposed market, and that's why they travel from all the way. But Rodney, you hit the nail on the head. Australia. Look at that. You got 2 of the top 3 girls in the points, and in these races, many of these races are from Australia. They've traveled long ways to be here.
A couple from New Zealand.
Yeah, Rachel's from
Canada.
New Zealand, I think. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, today we had Shelby Turner, a visiting rider. I believe may have been her first GNCC ever, or one of her first. She's here from Canada as well. And she's a rider that has done the International 6 Days Enduro a number of times, and for Canada. International flavor, and we've seen that in the men's premier classes over the years. Obviously, we've had David Knight, Juha Solomon. Going all the way. Josh Strang. There's so many riders that we just accept as our own now.
Yeah, I think there was like a strand where nobody from the USA had won the championship, so it was like,
I think it went from Barry to
U-Haul.
To David Knight, and then
Strang won it one year.
I think the first, and Whibley.
So it's
Paul
like
Whibley. I think the first rider to take it back was Charlie Mullins.
Charlie.
I don't remember what year that was exactly.
Was it 09 or 10? somewhere around
Yeah, it might have been 10 or 11, somewhere in there.
11 maybe, yeah. 2011.
But if you go back to Juha, he was the first rider to, I don't know that he was the first rider, well, Watsy won a championship way back in the day, but in the kind of, well, I guess that wasn't that much earlier, because that was 99 when Watsy was doing all of his winning. But yeah, from when Juha started winning after Barry won his championship, which was 03 or 04, somewhere in there, you know, Juha started winning from there, and then from, like you said, you know, between him, those guys, it was just Europeans and riders from abroad all the way up until.
U-Haul really changed the sport too. I mean,
that was
yeah, he did.
Yeah,
honestly,
for sure.
He did,
the way he rode too.
Yeah, just crazy. Like just watching him growing up, and you saw his style, how he changed it, and then David came over, and it was a full out like Stu style kind of bulldog it, and just how it went down the line. Just it's elevated so much, and you know, U-Haul I think started the transition for sure.
And neat thing about that one, Pat, you were youth classes still, or just making your way out of the youth classes?
Yeah, I think I was making my way out of the youth classes.
So, I mean, for you, that had to really, I mean, you were a young age, but man, a lot of things changed at that particular point.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was time to race the big guys, and you know, even now it's still some of the kids are coming straight out of the mini class into the 3-hour race, and it shows that you can be groomed in the minis to come into the afternoon like JoJo Cunningham, and a kid's crazy. You watch some of the kids these days cycling the track, you're like, man, like I don't ever remember being that fast when I was 14 years old or 13 years old, and just watching these kids these days is crazy. I feel like the sport's elevated, and GNCC is doing a really good job about grooming future champions for sure.
Yeah, and you know, Charlie Mullins kind of paved the way, I think, for future American champions, obviously, and Caleb Russell, yourself, you know, the Baylor boys, they had kind of a new American hero to look up to. And I know Charlie's not that much older than you guys, but he was kind of a half a generation ahead of you and Caleb, and so it kind of, you know, he paved the way back in there to say, hey, Charlie was the first, if I'm not mistaken, rider that had grown up through the GNCC ranks to win an overall championship. Yeah, meaning that he didn't just start as an amateur, he actually raced as a youth rider.
Yeah, he raced as youth, and I always remember, even back in the day, it was Hot Rod Charlie Mullins, and it was like just, his name has stuck around for so long, and I remember him being on, I think it might have been a CR85 one year maybe, and yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah. I was actually, and Thad, you've seen this picture before. I was going through some pictures on my phone, and I came across that screenshot I had taken of one of the old videos of you on a KX60 back when your dad and I were filming a video back in, I think it was 1999.
Something,
So you were a little kid on a KX60 just ripping around while we were filming, and you made the video. So, you know, and now here you are all these years later, and, you know, you're out there winning races and vying for championships of your own. And
it's crazy, for sure.
You know, it becomes a lifestyle. It's something that just kind of consumes you, and so it's definitely cool. I mean, when you go out there in the 8 a.m. race, or even if you go out there on Saturday and you look at the micro races at 9 and 9:30, I mean, these kids are 4 years old, starting into their GNCC.
They're 3 and 2.
Well, wow, now we got to back it up.
Some of the kids, I don't even know how they wear a helmet, because like they're so small and their helmet's so big. I'm like, man, like this is crazy.
Hats off to GNCC and everybody that has embraced, you know, the young riders. We started this conversation with the female riders, and you know, I think that really goes to show GNCC is not only a family sport. You know, it's a family sport where everyone can compete. It's not just, hey, come here and support your top XC1 rider. We have classes that go all the way down for, you know, electric pedal assist bicycles, electric dirt bikes, you know, going up, and you know, GNCC, if you can race it and we have a class for it, you're welcome here, and we welcome you to come out and join the family.
History update here. We were talking about international riders and championships. Barry Hawk did win the 2003 GNCC title, and it slipped my mind too, but 2004 Rodney Smith won his 5th championship.
I forgot about that one.
So 04 Rodney Smith was the last American champion before during that era anyway. 05 U-Haul, 06 U-Haul, 07 was David Knight, 08 was David Knight, Paul Whibley was 09, 10 was Josh Strang. So we went from basically 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 5 straight years before we ever saw Charlie Mullins, another American, back on the top of the ranks. And then Paul Whibley won it again in 2012. So a lot, like we said,
pesky New Zealanders are trying to break the streak.
I always remember back then people would always be like, oh, why does KTM keep bringing people from out of the states in to win these championships? But I think it was just they had the best rider.
Yeah,
that's you know.
Well, and I think, you know, again, circling back full circle, you're talking about, you know, some of these women, you know, Taylor Jones obviously having support from your team, Thad, the Rockstar Husky team. Mackenzie Tricker having some support from KTM, but these girls didn't, and you are right, back in the day, KTM was actually physically bringing those riders over from World Enduro and from other disciplines, where now you have riders. Josh Strang was another example. He came over here on his own. You know, he had some support, but he made the decision to buy a plane ticket, come over here. Now he calls, you know, we don't even, I personally don't even think of Josh Strang as a foreigner anymore, or being from Australia. You know, he's been here so long. He resides in Denver, North Carolina, you know, wife and kid, and he's so Americanized that he's just part of the show. Same with Wibley for all the years that he was here. But, you know, those guys obviously originated from elsewhere and made the very tough decision to uproot their lives and spend money to come here to race with the best and to showcase their skills.
Yeah, and that shows you, like, the presence of GNCC, too, is people are wanting to come race these races from all around the world. So, you know, I think that's why GNCC leads the way in off-road for sure.
And I think it's neat that we can share with the racetrack a legacy such as Thad Duvall. His dad was a top ATV GNCC racer. He's a legacy. And then obviously the new blood, if they can all mix together. I mean, the sport, I mean, that, like you said, it elevated the sport to all new levels. It brought you guys up to a whole different level. There's no doubt about it. And I think the two-wheel side of things actually helped elevate the four-wheel side of things also through the training programs and such.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when I don't know exactly when it was that it all started kind of intermingling and we started showing up at the same tracks and cycling together, and I give Chris Bach a lot of credit for that, and Andrew DeLong. They were the first guys that kind of I think they kind of realized what now everybody secretly knows but never talks about, is like, if you want to be a top bike guy, you pretty much have to have a quad friend to ruin your trip. Hey, and it's funny because I saw Rachel Goodish, one of the WXC riders, as she was coming back and getting healthy after her injury, she built a new track and, you know, had this beautiful track, and she posted on Facebook and said, any quad riders within 3-4 hours of here, and put the location, that want to come and ride my track, I really need to start getting ready for some GNCCs. I'll pay your fuel. So, like, and that just goes to show, like, the tracks here do develop differently than they do in national enduros or anywhere else where either they don't race ATVs or they run a separate track or at a different time. You know, the format here has been since the beginning, ATV Saturday, bike Sunday, and it was tried to flip a few times. They tried it out, and everybody thought the bike guys were going to love it and the quad guys were going to hate it. We were like, it's fine. We didn't mind it, and the bike guys were like, absolutely not. This is terrible.
It was a lot different for sure.
We don't want this. We're not used to it. Go back to the way it was.
It was crazy. You know, I think it was Loretta's. We raced on a Friday. You guys raced Saturday, and we raced on Sunday, and it was it was definitely a different world for sure. It was, you had to learn the track totally different, and you
could have raced the same track on Friday and Sunday, and it was totally different.
Totally different. I feel like you could have rode two different bikes, because right there goes Stu. So I feel like you could have had one setup for Friday and one setup for Sunday, because the tracks were so much different. So it was pretty crazy.
That you talk about bike setup. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Rodney. How different? And I don't know if you know. We got you in here. Doesn't mean you have to divulge all your secrets. There is Ben Kelly. He has made up some ground there. I think that's kind of close. We'll see at the finish line here in just a matter of a few moments. They'll be popping out of the field real quick. And if you don't want to share, totally understand. Do you make adjustments for a track like this? I know you haven't been out and looked at it. This kind of looks like a normal GNCC track here. But down in there, it's kind of more. I guess the best way to explain it. Think gnarly snowshoe rocks, Masontown rocks, loose rocks, but dry. Do you make suspension adjustments? Do you change your bike for when you go out and you pedal, or do you kind of just stick with your base setting no matter what?
No, changes for sure. You gotta learn the bike. Wow, Grant Baylor's caught Caleb.
Oh wow,
yes, he has.
Grant Baylor putting on a charge early. Usually he reserves this for after the 2-hour mark. Today he's pouring it on early, and he is up battling now for Caleb Russell for a third-place podium spot.
Yeah, but I mean, like, going back to the change, you gotta make changes for sure. I feel like you gotta, especially this place with the rocks and stuff. I feel like I would have made a change than my normal setup that I ran 2 weeks ago. So we actually had a kid from South Africa, Bradley Cox, ride at my house this week, and that was one of the things we discussed yesterday is, hey, I think you need to soften your bike up a little bit. So, definitely make a change. And, I feel like the track here looks rough from the video, so I can imagine riding it.
Maybe Stu Baylor made the changes the best because he's out front leading the way. We just saw him on screen there through VP Fuels Pro Row. And what is the lead, Rodney?
Well, right now, Stu Baylor checking in. A lap ago, he had a 25.36. He turned a 26.07 on lap number 4. Ben Kelly checking in was 25 seconds behind at the end of lap 3. At the end of lap 4. Ben Kelly is now 15 seconds behind. He turned a 25:57, so he was about 10 seconds faster than Stu Baylor. I don't know what slowed Stu down. Maybe some lap traffic. Maybe he's just settling into a pace or whatever the case may be. 17 seconds was the gap back to third place to Caleb Russell, who turned a 26:12 on lap number 3. And on lap number 4, 32.5 seconds with another 26:12. He stayed exactly the same as far as his lap time and lost time on that lap.
I hate to even say it, but Caleb's probably championship right now. Just, yeah, I mean.
It's obviously a difficult position for you to be in.
difficult for me to say, but
you knew when the green flag flew on this one, it was
done. Yeah. So Caleb probably maybe thinking championship right now, having a fun day, and
I don't know.
Probably not, but
that is a bitter young man, or little guy that does not like to give away wins.
Yeah, so it's like that's why I'm like trying to
He doesn't. I shouldn't say give away. He doesn't like to let wins get away without
fighting. And I guarantee you, one of the besides me, I say Stu is another person he does not like losing to. So it's like that's why I'm trying to figure out all right, so
whether it be poker on Friday night or Sunday
for sure.
At the races.
So it's like I'm like
the trash talk.
Maybe he's like cruising, but then I see Stu out front, and I'm sure he knows Stu's out front. So it's like, all right, so maybe.
Speaking of suspension setup, I got, and I'm not, this is pure speculation. By the way Ricky looks, and by the way he's not coming through the pack, I wonder if maybe he missed on bike setup or if he's just not comfy today. Because, man, I expected, the way he's been riding, I don't know how you felt about it, but I expected the world from him today.
Even the conditions, I feel like they're more Washington, Rocky kind of. I think he excels, but
nearly winning, the 2 races ago, finishing second
just an
last
off
race.
Day, maybe.
Yeah. These conditions should favor him. I fully expected to see him in a podium position battling for the lead throughout this one. And
Ricky's riding really good right now. I've ridden with him a couple times the last couple weeks, and I was riding with him Tuesday when I banged my leg up. And yeah, he's got confidence right now, I feel like, for sure. But just maybe an off day, everybody has him. But I would have banked on him being up front for sure this weekend.
Still probably close to an hour and 20 minutes left in this one, or give or take. So anything possible, not out of the realm of possibility for him to get up there and battle. But he's got himself in a bit of a hole time-wise right now, back there in that 7th place spot. But he's even a good ways back of the 206 of Josh Toth, who is 6th. Bollinger 5th. Grant Baylor 4th. Caleb Russell 3rd, Ben Kelly 2nd, and Stu Baylor Jr. your leader. There is Ben Kelly on screen, the 530. Not quite as smooth that time through there, but still leaning way off the bike.
That's probably the big 450 power there.
Yeah. And that's another thing, Thad, I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Super impressive.
The biggest thing, and I didn't talk about this because I guess I'm supposed to be the hype guy. I don't have to say anything that I'm not allowed to say or not supposed to say, but I overhear you guys talk, and I won't mention names, but it was said to me by a top XC1 rider a number of years ago that anybody who chooses, that has an option to ride a 350 or 450 and chooses a 450 has something wrong in their brain. So I don't know that it was Ben's choice. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he may be riding a 450 at ISDE.
Yeah,
so this is good prep for him. And I do know he's been riding a 450 at the J-Day races. Yeah. So it's a more comfortable platform for him. Why put him on a 350 for just 2 races when there's no points, nothing on the line? Get him ready for 6 days. Get him comfortable on that bike. But I tell you what, that bike had to be a handful at Mason-Dixon too.
Yeah.
How would you have felt having to ride a 450? Would you have been a happy guy?
I got the option. I have the option to pick at the beginning of the year 350, 450, and 450. It crossed my mind 2 years ago, and then I did some testing on it, and I said, nope, no way. I think
what is it just too much power, too much weight? What is the difference that is so much different between
It's hard to explain because really the weight difference isn't a lot.
That's what I would think.
It's a few pounds.
Yeah, so it's just, I think the motor, the inertia, the bigger motor.
It just comes on, the power is different.
Yeah, so it's just, it's a lot different to ride, I feel like. I ride a 450 at home. I love riding it. It's fun to ride. But I ride it on a moto track, so it's like I ride it in the woods sometimes, and it makes me go back to why I don't ride it in the woods. So.
I've been around a number of you guys, and again, I'm letting you speak for yourself because I don't want to get anybody in trouble with the manufacturers or anything. Obviously, they make that 350 for a reason.
Yeah, for sure.
It bridges a gap, and I think riding style has a lot to do with it. We're not saying that the 450 is not a viable race bike. It's not a viable. I shouldn't say it's not a viable. It's not the preferred race bike for the XC1 riders on the KTM and Husky team, because the 350 really does bridge that gap almost perfectly. And we saw a few years ago, Caleb Russell chose to ride a 250. Again, these are 3-hour races. They take a lot out of you. And the way you guys ride, you don't click up a gear and lug like some of the amateur riders do.
that you need to do to ride
and a 450 is a perfect bike for that. They change the gearing. Some of them even put a heavier flywheel. They make tuning adjustments to the ECU, and the bike just has a nice tractable power. But the way you guys ride, man, that 450 is a lot. And I've seen other orange and white guys that, it's like you said, ride the 450, take it out on a motor track, sick bike. They take it in the woods and they're like, get me off this thing before I end up hurt.
Don't get me wrong, the 450 is an awesome bike. I like I said, I enjoy riding it, but it's just I think some tracks it would work at, but some tracks, I think the easier tracks that were more aggressive for the whole 3 hours. I feel like there's some races where it's from the green flag to the checkered flag, it's full out sprint 110%. So I feel like those are the tracks you would struggle on a 450, because I feel like, I know I can't ride a 450 to its capability. Like, there's no way possible. And I feel like a 350, you can kind of get away with it a little bit in 3 hours. So I feel like that's why a lot of the guys choose a 350. And
so you're just wringing that thing's neck when you're riding
for sure. So it's like, hats off to the guys riding the 450. Stu and Grant ride it really well, and then
Oh, they are on 450s. I thought they were on 350s.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure they're on 450s. I know Stu, he did a lot of testing at the beginning of the year on a 450, so I'm pretty sure he's still on the 450. And I've
power to weight ratio.
And then Ben, he's a little taller guy, but still, man, it's he's riding it really good. So hats off to him for riding.
Coming off a 250.
Yeah, that's a big step.
Jump.
Big jump for sure.
Couple of notes as I'm looking through these results right now. Just wanted to point out some changes in the running order right now. Josh Strang has gotten around Jordan Ashburn. We saw Ashburn there a few moments ago in the 9th place position. Josh Strang has actually pulled about a 45-second gap over the 127. He's about 45 seconds now behind Ricky Russell, who is in the 7th place position. Looking at lap times right now for those riders as they try to work their way up. Strang's looking at 26:33 and 26:06 for Ricky Russell, but Jordan Ashburn dropped to a 28:01, so had some sort of struggle.
Looked like he had maybe crashed or something, because it looked like the rear fender was broke, and I seen he had his camelback off.
That would make sense, yeah.
Oh, it looks like Lane Michael has gotten his way around Andrew DeLong. So Michael, we noticed, had fallen kind of off the back of that XC1 group, and now he has gotten back around DeLong, so that would put him up into the 10th place spot in that XC1. DeLong back to 11th after the fuel stops or whatever it was that went on in the here we go. Craig DeLong up to lead in that XC2, and I tell you what, that is going to put him solidly in the top 10 overall. I'm going to go ahead and polish up my crystal ball that I saw that a few laps ago coming with. I expected to see Craig in these conditions.
Sure.
He rides well in these, and I almost think the little 250 could be an advantage here.
Craig, he should be up front no matter what. I feel like he's one of the top guys. Look, when I think
there's your second place rider right there, Austin.
Him and Ben were 1-2 most of the races for sure, and I feel like Craig had a little bit of a
Witkowski. Did you see how close Witkowski was to Lee right there? That's starting to tighten up there.
I know when I came up here, Liam wasn't really that far off them guys either, so must have had a little.
Ryder Rafferty's dropped back to 3rd place in the class. He's a minute and 22 seconds back. Liam Draper is only 20 seconds behind Ryder Rafferty right now. But as we look at lap time,
I think a lot of people
15 seconds faster.
A lot of people expect big things out of Craig. I feel like he's definitely making the right direction here today for sure.
Yeah. Wow, there is Evan Smith on screen just now coming by. He's a ways back now. He is not even nearly in touch with the lead group, or for that matter.
But still holding on to a 5th place position in that.
Well, he hasn't checked in yet.
Okay, you're right. I was looking. Okay, you're right.
Because this is before the finish, but he may still be 5th.
So we're looking for Liam Draper still hasn't checked in, and nor has Evan Smith.
That may have been Draper that just went by on screen there.
And as we do a quick update here, we'll update it. We'll look at it. We'll check things out
now.
What
are we, an hour and 51 in? So what will be 3 laps?
Yes, should be another 3 laps. It will be a 7-lap race.
Yep, so that's what we're looking at right now. We'll get the official word as we just passed the 1 hour, 52-minute mark. Will Stu Baylor be able to hang on to this one? Again, the question, will Ben Kelly be able to pull that rabbit out of his hat in only his, second race as an XC1 class rider?
Yeah.
How about Caleb back there? Is he going to stand for any of this? Is he just going to go back and take that 7th #1 place? Stick around to find out. GNCC Live continues right after this.
What is your passion? Hitting the perfect line, finding the perfect trail, routing the perfect adventure, or just living and breathing the moto life? Do you feel pride for a job well done after tackling a late night in the shop? Do you enjoy time spent with friends and family in the great outdoors? Spanning over 3 decades, one name has taken the lead for supplying the best powersport parts, accessories, and apparel to fuel your passion. One name that knows it goes beyond getting you the best prices, quickest shipping, or largest selection. One name that builds and innovates for our industry. One name that teaches, helps, and supports our fellow riders, racers, and organizations. We are Rocky Mountain ATV MC. We have transformed a team of moto enthusiasts into a powerful teaching team to ensure that you make the best purchasing decision with your hard-earned cash. We build communities with fellow riders to provide you with all you need to make a good decision. See customer photos, reviews, Q&As, and more while you're on our easy-to-use website. Need help fast? Live chat with our specialists, email, or drop us a line. Visit us today and experience the best in OEM and aftermarket parts, accessories, apparel, and industry-leading information. We offer lightning quick shipping, free on orders over $75, a huge inventory, free apparel exchanges both ways, and customer service that leaves all others behind. Experience one name that leads all others. Rocky Mountain ATV MC. Get ready.
Your bearings shoulder the burden whenever you tow, haul, or stomp the gas. AMSOIL delivers powerful protection for bearings and other critical components so you can drive with confidence. To demonstrate, an independent lab put AMSOIL synthetic motor oil head-to-head against a leading competitor in a 100,000-mile test. AMSOIL provided far superior wear protection and kept engine bearings looking like new. Get your truck the protection it deserves at amsoil.com/auto. Consistent clutch feel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remained clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
Speed has its price. Fortunately, it's super affordable. The Specialized Speed into Spring Sale with up to 40% off March 15th through 31st. The faster you visit your local Specialized dealer, the faster you ride. The all-new Yamaha Wolverine X2. With a compact chassis perfect for exploring tight technical terrain. An ultra-quiet and smooth 850 class twin-cylinder engine. And next-level versatility with a 600-pound dumping cargo bed. No other side-by-side delivers this level of proven off-road performance. The all-new Wolverine X2 from Yamaha.
And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and Thad Duvall in booth with us, out of the race due to injury earlier this week, but certainly watching some of the great racing that is going on here today. And what's going on down here in the pits right now? Who is this?
Is that Evan Smith?
Yeah.
Wow.
What are they working on?
side of the subframe they had to replace because that looks new. That piece there looks brand new, so I'm assuming that's probably the...
So is that a modular subframe?
Yeah, so it's 3 different pieces, so that was... I don't think it would have been that big of a change, so I feel like... yeah,
they're working on getting that airbox cover back in place, struggling with it. Something's not lining up.
Yeah, something's not going on. That filter's not in right, or...
They're pulling on it. Sometimes you just got to get out the BFH.
So is there a lot of similarities between the KTM and the Husqvarna nowadays?
There is, but there's not. I think there's quite a few different changes and stuff, but I think a lot of it's similar.
Yeah, I noticed that the KTMs, you pull the side plates off and change air filters and stuff like that with them. I didn't know if maybe there was
I
a
think
lot of
subframe because he's missing his rear fender, so definitely something with the subframe for sure.
We saw Rodney, you had pointed out, or maybe it was you, Thad, had said looked like Jordan Ashburn had a broken rear fender. So somewhere these guys are pulling a loop out Larry maneuver.
Yeah,
and they're busting up some subframes and fenders. Stu Baylor not pulling any loop out Larrys, though, leading the way. Ben Kelly hot on his heels. Caleb Russell third. Grant Baylor, the man on the charge, I would say right now. Fair to say, boys, Grant Baylor's the one to watch right now?
Good ride for Grant.
Yep, looking...
and we know he gets stronger as the race goes on, Rodney. You always point that out. But now, wait.
Listen to this. 25:27 was his lap time last time around. The next fastest lap time was a 25:55, turned by Trevor Bollinger, who was behind him, and Josh Toth also.
Nearly 30 seconds faster.
Crazy.
Shredding.
Yeah. So, and 25:57 for Ben Kelly, I believe it was.
And Grant's got it going on right now. You know, he's been doing really good at the National Enduros,
and that's, you know, for the viewers at home, that's one thing. You've obviously won a National Enduro title, or wait, you won the National
run races, yeah.
Okay, I thought.
So I came down to me and Stu the last
that's
one,
right.
and he ended up edging me out.
Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years ago. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you guys battled for a national title.
Oh, Mercy, just got a report from our producer. It says the track crew said that Caleb Russell, something wrong at the 6 mile marker, and he's headed back in, or has come back in, or is on his way in. So we'll try to get Mikey Waynes down there to hopefully get a little bit of information about what's going on down there. But, you know, as tough a blow as that is, at the same time, Thad, you know as well as I do, it really doesn't matter.
I'm sitting here thinking, oh, man.
Couldn't happen when you were out there racing, right?
But no, yeah, I'm sure he knows he's got the championship won no matter what. So.
Well, you know, I got to be honest, I haven't quit a race since 2007, and it was a struggle all day yesterday. For me, I had some physical issues going on from a crash at the last race, but it was just that kind of track where if you're not, you know, mentally dedicated and right on top of your game, this track will punish you. So in the position that Caleb's in, you know, if he wasn't in a position to win and he felt like he was putting himself in harm's way, I do know he had a pretty good practice crash just a couple of days ago. I don't think he really broadcast it. He was okay, but you know, he had hit a tree pretty good. So you got to wonder if he just thought, you know what am I doing out here? What is this worth it?
I kind of.
Oh, Liam Draper. There's your answer. What happened to Liam? He's pushed his bike back into the pro pits.
It was funny because I hadn't really said anything either, and just rumors, man. Oh, Caleb's hurt, and I'm like, what? And I'm like, nah, there's no way. So it's kind of, it was, stuff travels really fast for some reason.
Well, I don't know that the Caleb's hurt rumor, I don't know where that would have. I mean, I'm pretty close to them. I didn't actually know until yesterday, and he wasn't hurt. He did brush a tree. He got into a tree.
I heard it was a pretty good one.
Yeah, he's pretty brushed up if you see him with his shirt off, but I think it was, I don't think it was anything, you know, he said nothing's torn, he's fine. It was just kind of a bang up type situation, but a track like this, point being, this track will punish you. And I think even in your situation, you know, with what you're going through, you made the right call to set this one out, obviously, because this is not a track that leaves you any leeway for anything shy of, like I said, the rocks are angry, man. They want to eat your wheels, your legs, whatever they can get a hold of.
Yeah, you know, this was Strang's first race back too, and you know, I talked to him before the race, and he's like, oh man, like I don't know, the rocks are going to be tough, and yeah.
All right, so we're going to see some live map coverage coming through right now on the Racer TV screen, and as you take a look at that, you can see that at last check, Stu Baylor had checked in and Ben Kelly had checked in, but there is no sign. It says first and third.
Well,
there's no sign of Caleb Russell out there on this track map. They got him all the way back here at the previous check. So Again, 6 mile marker. Yeah, a heartbreaker for you to see it go down like this. That I mean, and you've been so close so many times, man. When it finally happens, you know it's going to. I mean, you know, sometimes they say you got to get down to get up or something like that. Well, you're going to figure it out that how sweet it finally is once you do finally get that championship.
Yeah, I feel like I've figured out how to come back from injury decently well. So, yeah, just
and you're always stronger when you come back from
another
injury.
speed bump, and yeah, hopefully be back stronger for 2020, and really looking forward to 2020. We're gonna change some stuff up and be a little bit more prepared for sure. So yeah, I want to come out swinging and be ready to go.
I have to laugh at that because I don't know how much more prepared than you can be than what we saw in Florida this year. That was in Georgia. You got, man, I had to say, when the race in Georgia was probably my favorite race this year, honestly. So seeing you guys nose to tail and how just intense you guys were racing and pushing each other.
Yeah, there's something that I've always learned with the team is that there's always better. Your bike can be always better. You can be always better. So I really try to take that to heart and really try to work on things that I feel like I struggle on. And yeah, at the end of the day, I feel like I'm making the right decision, and yeah, excited for next year.
Good, moving forward, always moving forward. Whenever it looks like you can't even move forward, you take a step forward. I think that's great. Keep it up, Dad. Right now, we are about 5 minutes out from seeing, well, 4.5 minutes out before a scheduled check-in from Stu Baylor, which would be lap number 5. That'll put us at about 2 hours and somewhere in the neighborhood of 8-9 minutes or so, I believe, as far as the racing goes. And again, I think you're right. We probably will see the 2-lap board, you think, this time around?
I think it would be, they would, well, yeah, this would be the 5 lap. Yeah, so 2-lap board complete. If you're looking at the race clock there on the top there, I don't feel like that's accurate. We're more than 3 minutes and 53 seconds into this one. There we go. So that's supposed to be 2 hours. There we go, 2 hours and 4 minutes. We are, I was like, man, if this is only 3 minutes into this one, a lot has gone down in 3 minutes. We have, these guys are making some killer lap times. 4 laps, 3 minutes, they're hauling. But yeah, no, it's you can see the dust starting to kick up in the finish line chicanes. Probably, Rodney, you asked the question earlier if it was dusty out in the woods. It is, but not the kind of dust that really affects your vision. Nothing like it was 2 weeks ago at the Mason-Dixon. But it is silty here. I wish we could have gone through and counted how many times we said the word silt or silty 2 weeks ago. And here, much the same. These loose rocks are gnarly in and of themselves, but when you add in the fact that they are mixed, there is Stu Baylor coming by at the FMF PowerPoint. Came by there at 36. 2 hours, 4 minutes, 36 seconds. Look at this, folks. Ben Kelly, hot on his heels. We got a race, folks. Put the kids to bed, get on the couch, and get ready to watch this one, because it is going to be a barn burner.
This is going to
Pop
be good.
some popcorn or something, man. You grab a nice cold beverage and sit down, because I think this one's going to go right down to the wire. You guys, right? Wow.
It's funny that we just talked about the 350 to 450, and the two guys out front are riding 450. Well, right now, so.
This is a KTM 450 commercial going on right now.
So.
Wow. And good to see this. I mean, you know, Stu Baylor, again, pushing very hard. Again, though, I'm watching Grant Baylor.
Yeah,
I mean,
so it's Grant
should have inherited the third place
Grant
position.
And Trevor.
Yeah. But wow, a big gap. So we thought Grant was on the push, and unless we missed him, he is still a good ways back of Ben Kelly in that second place spot. So he is going to really have to be on the hammer. There he is. There he is, the 341. So have we ever seen two Baylors on an overall podium?
I'm sure we probably have.
I don't know that we haven't. We haven't in National Enduro. I don't think we've ever seen both Baylors on a GNCC podium together.
Yeah.
So today could be the day.
Yeah.
I don't have the best memory in the world either.
Come on, you're like a GNCC encyclopedia. There we go.
I've got all that information. It just takes me a few minutes to get all the
search through the catalogs.
Yeah.
Tell you what, I see a big sense of urgency in Ben Kelly right now. Did you notice that when they came by? That his very much attack position, and I think Stu Baylor is trying to outrun him. So the fact that Ben Kelly is closing up really speaks volumes about just how fast he's going right now.
Yeah, and they're going to get that 2-lap card here coming up, and it's going to be, both of them are going to be pushing pretty hard. It's going to be game on for sure. You know, this point in the race, you know, this is what you worked for. This is what you prepare yourself for all week long, and yeah, to get this 2-lap board, it's going to be on, and yeah, it's going to be gnarly race to the finish. I feel like both guys are really well in conditions like this, and it's even crazy because Stu's from South Carolina. You think of South Carolina, you think of hard pack, no rocks, whatever. But you know, when it comes to this stuff, Stu rides really well in for sure.
Yeah,
All right,
same with Grant.
About
Yeah.
a minute out, and something I noticed, something was pointed out to me. There's Stu Baylor making his way into the finish line.
Yeah, so Stu just came around the corner, so he saw Ben, so he knows that he's there.
Look, wow, that's close. That's really close, and that's very tight. Somebody pointed out to me, there's no ruts from the ATVs out here. Is that something that is? Do we see that happen often? Is it because the dirt's so much drier today than yesterday?
Maybe the rocks.
Yeah, it's I mean, the track had kind of got 2 grooves in it, but I wouldn't call them ruts. Yeah, you can't. I mean, rubber tires can't dig through rock.
Yeah.
And this whole place is rock, basically.
And,
Loose rock.
And honestly, it's, I'm 2 hours from here, and until just a couple days ago, we hadn't had rain for like almost 2 months. So it's dry. So it's they're wheel to wheel. So
man,
Stu must have had to pit.
Yeah,
Stu had to get a splash of gas, I bet.
Well, now here's the question: if Stu took a splash of gas and Ben pitted on lap 3. That means Ben's going to have to stretch it 4 laps if he wants to go to the finish, or is he just using that as an ability to get up to the back wheel?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but I think Stu runs a little bit different gas tank than we run.
Okay.
I think he runs a little bit of a smaller one, so I think Ben might be able to make it.
Well, but Stu pitted on 2, did he not? Did he pit on 2 and 4? Or was it, did he go? I don't know. He may have pitted on 3 with everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, he pitted on, I remember because he pitted behind the semi. So, yeah, 3. So, it would have been 3.
So, he did 3, but so he took a splash on 5. But if Ben pitted on 3, he's going to have to go 4 laps to make 7.
Maybe, yeah.
I mean, that 4 laps is going to be.
What are they doing? 25-minute laps?
Yeah.
So
it'd be basically 50. So he'd be looking at 50 times 2. It'd be almost 2 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, hour and what, 40?
It'd be close.
Yeah, hour 40.
I wouldn't want to make that call.
Yeah. Well, luckily you don't have to. Auntie Collin down there in the KTM semi. I guarantee you, he's got a.
I'd say if they're still wheel to wheel, I'd say they'll probably do a splash real quick because he won't lose that much time. But
and even if they're not, if he's able to get a lead, you would think. And there is Caleb Russell, appears to be all as well. Talking with team manager Auntie Collin and his wife Chandler and his mechanic Cody there. They're all discussing exactly what it is that's going on. And they're just talking about the day apparently.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got championship number 7, but he still looks frustrated.
Yeah, he's frustrated for sure. It's just not our atmosphere to pull off like that for sure. Something must be wrong.
Wow. Yeah. Again and again, you got. I know sitting here today, it's got to be a rough place to see this happen. But at the same time, man, like we said, when you finally do get your championship, it's going to be a sweet one, no doubt. Hey, we see Grant Baylor has checked in.
Stu and Ben Kelly on screen.
Wheel to wheel.
Yeah,
wheel to wheel.
They were 6 seconds apart when they came through the finish line, so they've tightened that up a little bit. Grant was about a minute back. Josh Toth another 43 seconds back now in that 4th place position.
So what was the gap to Grant?
Grant 57.290, so just over 57 seconds.
What was Grant's lap time to theirs?
Well, looking at lap times, a 25.23 for Stu Baylor, a 25.14 for Ben Kelly, a 25.36 for Grant. He slowed down a little bit.
So
compared to them.
Grant slowed down. Those 2 guys went faster. And Ben Kelly
actually,
went
Grant probably stayed
faster.
about the same. I think the other 2 just picked it up quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd say
Ben Kelly can taste blood in the water at this point. He's looking really aggressive and really smooth. We're still waiting from this shot here. We are waiting for the 3:14 of Grant Baylor to come up out of this rock garden at around about the 2-mile marker, and there he is.
Mercy. This Rook's Rock Garden,
gnarly.
It has gotten gnarlier as the day has progressed. I mean, I was watching this on lap 1, and wow, it's changed quite a bit. A lot of rocks have moved around, and
that's the biggest of the rock gardens right there. The one thing that section has going for it comparative to some of the other sections is it is actually, you're going straight up it. It seems like all of the other hills and all the other rock sections are on an off camber, and you know how nasty that is.
For sure. Yeah, that's what a lot of the guys were talking this morning when I was talking to them about the off cameras. It seems like they had a lot of off cameras here or whatever. So, but it seemed like everybody really seemed like they would enjoy the track. I know that was one of the things. All the track looks super fun. Looks fun. So they must have did a good job laying out a new place for sure.
I'll pass.
Yeah, but quad's,
been a little disgruntled
quad's
this year.
totally different. It's
No, it wasn't my day.
you know, with the quad, you guys are in it. With a bike, you can kind of get out of it a little bit for sure.
Yeah, you guys can pick your lines and,
Yeah.
and kind of miss the bigger rocks and figure out where you're going to go. We're kind of like stuck between where we can fit and what we think may or may not tear off large chunks of our machine as we go through. I got a little bit of confirmation from some outside sources. Jen Kenyon, former media ace here at Racer Productions and also current PR girl for KTM as well, said that the Baylors are in fact riding 450s, both of them. Thad, you had pointed that out.
Yeah.
So confirmation that those guys are on 450s, meaning your top 2 riders, as you pointed out, both on KTM 450. Top 3. And now there we go. Now it's really
Oh, now we got to get Trevor. Come on, Trevor.
Yep, there you go. There's Ricky Russell. Ricky Russell back there, still within that top 10. The other thing, I got a text here as well that no, the 2 Baylors have not been on a GNCC podium together. So this could be a first here
what
today.
What about youth days? Did they make the podium together in youth days? I don't even think they did it then.
No, because I think Stu's a little
bit older.
Yeah, a little bit older for sure. Yeah, so that'll be kind of cool.
The brothers Baylor on the podium together.
And a KTM sweep on top of that. I know that kind of puts a thorn in your side.
That's not so cool.
Not for you on a Husky and everything,
Yeah.
but for Auntie and Team KTM, that's
Hey,
got to be pretty
when we're watching on screen, Ricky Russell came through here. He is now ahead of Trevor Bollinger.
Yeah, I
so
thought
maybe
that.
that resurgence in that charge out of the rough and rowdy one is coming. But I got to tell you, nothing. Not being negative towards Ricky here, but it's come far too late if he wants to battle for a podium position. He is several minutes outside the podium, but at this point, every point counts, every position counts. He's battling his way, trying to get up in there into the top 5.
Right now, looking at lap times, Bollinger turned a 27:07 to Ricky Russell's 26:17. So either Bollinger had an extended stop or has slowed his pace down quite a bit, and about 45 seconds is what Ricky Russell gained on that. He is, though, about 30 seconds off pace of Josh Toth, who's the 4th place ride. So to see Ricky make any more gains, it's going to be tough for him to do it unless he picks up the pace a little bit more. And we just got a word that Jordan Ashburn back around the long. I guess they've been going back and forth at it between each other out there. So just got some word there. They're physically on the track together. That would be Andrew DeLong and, of course, Jordan Ashburn physically. But when you look at the time adjustments, they're actually separated by about 5 different positions in time adjustments out there.
Wow, crazy. Yeah, that's how things are shaping up here with the time adjustments and those XC2 riders popping in there.
Should be seeing XC2 guys, right?
Yeah, they should be coming through if they have not already.
There's Liam.
So, yeah, Liam, he pushed his bike in, unfortunately. I know a heartbreaker there for him. We was talking with him. I mean, there's coming off of a high like that, his first win, and then to have a DNF in the next round. I mean, it's got to be a heartbreaker. You can tell by the look on his face. But at the same time, I think that what we've seen out of Liam so far this year, especially in the last couple of rounds of racing, is I think really elevated his program, and I think may be positioning him into some good things for the future, honestly.
Yeah, you know, Liam's really come on here lately. I feel like I know he's been spending a lot of time in PA riding with a couple people, and I feel like he's trying to step out of that comfort zone a little bit, learn how to ride different terrain, and yeah, it's really showed. I think it paid off last race when he won, and yeah, he'll be ready for 2020 for sure. I feel like he'll be he needs to learn a few more things, and if he does, and then I think he'll be up front for sure.
So Caleb Russell making his way back to his motorhome, going back to visit with the family after some issues out there and having to call it an early day, but as we note, still should be able to capture that championship number 7. Maybe not the most memorable championship win that he ever took, but still nonetheless it was a good one. Right now we're continuing to watch Stu Baylor, Ben Kelly, Grant Baylor 1, 2, and 3. The story of this race, as we are about 2 hours and 16 minutes into this one, another 16 minutes or so before we'll see a white flag, I think, next time around. Stu Baylor basically, man, I mean, he got out front early in this one today, and really, I mean, there's been times he opened it up, it tightened back up, and then he'd open it back up. I mean, but being out front like this all day long,
that's a pretty good position for him to be in. And, you know, it's not something that we oftentimes see, at least as up here lately in GNCC. Usually the guy out front, you know, something will happen and it'll switch. Even if he gets back out front, it switches around a little bit, but we haven't seen that at all today so far.
Yeah, but it's when you get up front like that and get out front, it's a lot easier. You know, I've been able to do it a couple of times this year, get up front and get that kind of cushion and just ride your own race. And it just makes for an easier day. You get a good start. You're not buried in the pack, and save a little effort for the end of the race.
You know, and it's funny, and it's something that I've noticed a lot of people saying, how, you know, used to be starts wasn't necessarily an important factor in GNCC. How much has that changed in the last 5 years, say?
I think it's changed a lot. I feel like, you know, with Caleb being such a good starter and getting out front and pushing that first couple laps, I feel like that's where I had to learn how to get a good start. And I feel like if you don't get a good start, you have to make some enemies coming through the pack.
Right.
You have to be pretty aggressive. But I think, you know, getting a good start is definitely one of the top things nowadays for a good race. I feel like usually the guys that get a good start, they got some good speed. So they can sprint and try to get away, and
and that's probably the exact reason why, because the guys that are good sprinters, if they get up front, you get held back.
Yeah.
Even for 30 seconds, you're behind somebody for 30 seconds, that person is sprinting.
Yeah, you know, when you get a good start, you get that gap, you know, you get 30 seconds the first lap, and then you can almost kind of control it or say, okay, you know, I'm going to ride at 80%, and you ride 80% for a couple miles, and you get a pit board that says, oh, plus 20, so you know you just lost 10 seconds. So you're like, all right, you know, now I need to ride harder. You ride hard, and you kind of get, oh, now we're back at the 30 seconds. So you can kind of control the race a little bit like that. I feel like I've been able to do that a couple times this year, kind of control it. You know, when you can ride hard when you need to, and you can relax when you need to. You know, with the guys with the pit boards now around the tracks, you kind of know the gap between people, and yeah, I feel like when you get that start, you can get out front, and you get that little gap, and I think that's what Stu did. And yeah, just Ben's on rails right now for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. And you know, and like I say, that's a far cry different than probably 10, 15 years ago. Well, prior to the U-Haul David Knight era, you know, because you know the guys, they just kind of put around on that first lap, filling each other out. But like you say, now it's a full-on sprint. So yeah, it's changed the whole face of everything.
I think before U-Haul came over here, like the pace was kind of, all right, we're gonna ride for the first hour and a half and then go really hard the last hour and a half. And yeah, I think when U-Haul came over, I think he caught a lot of guys off guard with going pretty hard for the whole 3 hours. So I feel like it took the guys over here a couple years to figure out, and
it's figured out now.
Yeah, for sure.
It's definitely figured out.
Like I said before, you know, some races you can do 110% the whole time, and then some races that are a little bit more technical and harder, you have to kind of pace yourself a little bit.
Right, and that makes a lot of sense. And of course, we were talking about him a few moments ago. We saw him pushing his bike off the track 2 weeks ago. First win here in the U.S. and from hero to, I don't want to say zero, but definitely broken-hearted Liam Draper. Mikey Wayne standing by with him down in the pits.
Thanks, Rodney. Yeah, Liam Draper, this one's got to hurt, man. I know coming off that first win you had all season in the XC2, and then what happened today?
Yeah, I got off to a pretty average start. We worked our way back up to, I think I was in 4th, 5th. And I felt like I found the flow, and I was going for it. I had a pit board at 1:15 down from 3rd, and I got it down to 20 seconds on that last lap I just did then. And I had some mechanical go wrong with my motor, and yeah, I pushed my bike for 6 miles.
So you're spent.
Yeah, I got my workout in, but yeah, I'm pretty bummed. Coming off a win to go to a DNS pretty sucks.
It does suck, man, but there is one more round of racing left in Ironman. Regroup, finish that season strong in a couple of weeks, guys.
Wow, having to push that bike. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it was an exaggerated 6 miles or if it was an actual 6 miles, but I'm sure even if it was just a mile, man, to have to push your bike out of something like this, that's not a fun thing to do.
Been there, done that. It's a tough
So
call.
they don't come push your bike out of the woods for you?
Yeah, for sure they do. But you know, sometimes you're somewhere where you don't even know where you're at. You know, and I feel like there's been a couple times that I've had some small issues with the Husky team, and they've been pretty good about finding me and trying to fix the problem. And yeah, you know, when you're in Liam's thing, you're mad and the adrenaline's still pumping, and you just take off and you're mad. So
yeah, and I'm sure, you know, I mean, they got a nice team and stuff, but probably not the manpower that, say, the Factory Husky guys or the Factory KTM guys. So I mean, they got a lot of guys out there, but but you know what, Liam, I think it's character building day for him right there. That's going to help build his character as a GNCC racer, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, Thad, as we watch this one, buddy, we are 2 hours, 22 minutes into this one, about 10 minutes out from a white flag. Last check that we had Baylor and Kelly basically nose to tail. As far as the XC1 class was concerned, we had some good battling going on in that XC2 class. Craig DeLong and Craig DeLong had pretty much battled his way into the first place position, and not only did he battle his way in, he just demoralized, I think, everybody else at that point.
It was like a minute and 20 I just saw.
Minute 22, actually, 22. Yeah. And Mike Witkowski, can't take anything away from him because he's a whale of a rider himself. Up to that, he had to work into second place. Austin Lee, a phenomenal ride. There's the 2 lap board coming out, so we know that, or is out, so we know that that'll be turning to white flag here soon. But Austin Lee, who was leading this race early on, I have to say, I think that was probably the best start we've seen out of Austin so far here in 2019. So maybe he can capitalize on that and keep it on the podium right now. As we look at his lap times, he is running about 11 seconds slower than Ryder Lafferty, but about 1 minute and 16 seconds ahead. So with a little control, Austin Lee should be able to maintain podium pace and take this one on home to the checkers.
Yeah, and he was only 11 seconds off of Witkowski too, so maybe he had a mistake there and kind of had to regroup, and maybe he'll be able to catch back up a little bit there. Yeah,
that'll be interesting to watch to see if he can do that. It'll be fun to watch. Ryder Lafferty, again, another rider up front there in the early part of the race, dropping back 1 minute and 16 seconds into 4th place position, but another rider that is to me, one to keep an eye on. I think, you know, being the nephew of Mike Lafferty, kind of a legacy rider there and everything, he certainly stands out, and you know that he's got it in his blood. It's running through his genes. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he's had a couple good rides. I feel like he does a good job living up to the Lafferty name with Mike and Rich and all them guys. And I think he's doing a good job at it for sure.
How about this Dylan Yearberry out of New Zealand? Do you know this guy?
I don't, but I think he maybe be riding out of the AmPro tent this weekend. Maybe I think maybe he came over. I did see them down there pitting him by the AmPro tent, so maybe he came over to try his hand at it. He's actually doing really well. So top 5. Anytime you're top 5 in XC2, I feel like it's a good ride for sure.
Yeah, do you think maybe he's auditioning or something?
Good possibility. Maybe, you know, it is that time of year where. Teams are starting to look at people, and contracts are going out. So, he's actually in front of some pretty big names in that class.
Yeah, we see Jesse Grom back in the number 6th place. 7th place is Evan Smith. Howie's dad, a.k.a. Alex Teagard, the 309 in 8th place. Philip Cheney in 9th, and Bradley Cox, the 411. In 10th place. I think we need to make a t-shirt. I said this before, about I want one that says Howie for president, and then I think we need to put one with Carl and Howie on it.
Yeah, the cats. Yeah.
But Alex Teagard, as I said, 8th, Philip Cheney in 9th, and Bradley Cox rounding out the top 10. Sam Evans is the name. Did you get a chance to? He was a little younger than you, wasn't he?
Sam Evans. Yeah, he's a little bit younger, but we raced a local series by my house together, so we've raced each other for a long time now, and he's I think he works full time now, so he doesn't have quite the time to ride like he used to, but he's still doing really well for being a working man and still racing XC2.
Part-time GNCC, you know, and it's good to see him keep coming back and competing at a professional level still.
Yeah.
Let's look into this FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Jesse Ansley has pretty much moved into that lead. He was back in 3rd in the early part of the race. We had, I believe it was Chase Colville leading, and Jake Froman up front there with Jesse Ansley back in 3rd, but methodically Ansley was able to work his way back up into the front. He's turned about a 2 minute and 6 second gap between himself and Froman now. The 862 out of Linville, Indiana. Jason Lipscomb has moved up into the number 3 spot now out of Parkersburg, West Virginia on the 700. Mike Nolosa is 4th, and Chase Colville, one of the early front runners, 318,
has dropped off to 5th place, has only completed 3 laps. So that's an indication that there was an issue of some sorts there for that low jack rider.
Yeah, you know, I do a lot of riding with Jason Lipskin, the 3rd place rider. So he goes pretty good. He's a local boy that lives by me, and we do a lot of riding together. So it's cool to see him up in the top 3 for sure.
Well, you know, watching this FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class, Thad, I know obviously it's a decade or so late for you as far as, you know, moving up into
it's
the
a cool class, for sure.
I mean, is it something that you thought would have been neat to have ridden if you had that opportunity?
Yeah, for sure. You know, I feel like it kind of, it's a cool class, and I feel like it opens up the door for guys that's quite not ready for XC2, but a little outgrowing the A class to shine a little bit and, you know, get their sponsors on the podium. And I growing up, it would have been something I think I would really enjoyed riding. And maybe when I retire, I could show up and race the XC3 class like Barry did a couple times and be on that podium.
That'd be awesome, man. I don't want to see you retire.
Yeah, for sure. No
stretch of the imagination, but hey, that's for sure. Can you say that one more time for me, Adam? Oh, yeah. Listen,
oh, here we go.
This is
going to be good.
We see this all the time, and I'm sure you've got yours. I wanted to get this right, but, you know, riders have pre-race rituals. We'll talk about yours in a few minutes, but one of the biggest characters, I think, in GNCC right now is Duvall.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this one.
He has pre-race rituals.
Yeah.
We checked in with him. Let's find out what those are all about.
I don't necessarily have any pre-race rituals. Basically, we all kind of go through the same motions. You know, you try to eat a decent meal for breakfast, go out and start pedaling. I used to be a lot more superstitious than I am now, but maybe I should go back to that because I used to have better results. But no, I mean, the biggest thing is get up, eat something good, go out. I try to watch the youth guys, try to make it to the youth podium. This is actually the first round in the last 2 years that I've missed a youth podium. I just got the track's really spread out and I wasn't able to make it back, but got a lot of kids that we work with through the week, and you know, I always try to do that. I can remember that U-Haul used to come to the podiums in 2004 when I was up there, so you know, it means a lot to have the pros, and a lot of the guys just don't do it, and it's tough to make the time. So you know, I always try to make time for the young guys, and aside from that, you know, I just go through the same motions almost every weekend.
Wow, that was a rather reserved comment from Stu.
Yeah, I think he left a few things out for sure.
I think so too. It's silly season, I guess. You know, it's one of those, don't want to upset the sponsors and things.
Yeah, I think from all unofficial official sources, he's all set for next year.
Yeah,
right?
oh yeah.
I don't think he's worried about what he says.
I think
he's on a mission to ruffle as many feathers as he humanly possibly can.
He's doing a good job at it too, for sure. Yeah, you know, Stu, me and Stu are pretty good friends, and yeah, it's
what's it like? I mean, tell me. I mean, behind the scenes, does he go to you? Does he poke the bear a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we don't even really talk about racing that much. It's more hunting and hanging out or whatever. And yeah, you would think to us racing is just our second thing, but it's funny. You know, I have a good relationship with Stu, and yeah, he's a bit reserved. Here they are here, still wheel to wheel. Stu's still out front, Ben's still second. So is that the FMF PowerPoint there?
Yeah.
So should be coming pretty close.
Yep.
But yeah, he's it's definitely not show for Stu. That's real life, and I think that's why he has such a good fan base for sure. And yeah, he's a funny dude, and I really enjoy Stu for sure.
Yeah, always been a character.
Hate losing to him. I hate losing to that guy.
Well, okay, let me ask you: of all the people in the world to lose to, which is the worst? It's the hardest to lose to.
I'd say, I think I would probably rather lose to Caleb than Stu. Yeah, because I think we have such a good relationship. We give her such hard times and stuff, and yeah, we have a good time, and I feel like I hate losing to Stu more than Caleb.
Not to mention, nobody knows how to put the screws to somebody harder after getting the best of them than Stu. Like, doesn't matter if it's like you're on a bicycle and you're going across the pits, and Stu's like, "I'll race you there." You're gonna 7 months later, it'll be, "Hey, remember that one time we were going across the pits at that GNCC? I beat you there." Yeah. It's like, dude, that was 7 months ago, and the race only lasted 7 seconds. So he'll get the most out of it for sure.
But he's good at, like, I feel like that's why he has such a fan base, because he's good at marketing himself for sure. You know, he's just an average guy. Yeah, just his personality is just like an average Yahoo redneck. So I feel like that's behind the GNCC scenes. It's definitely not a put on front. That's just Stu being himself.
And as much as it goes against, every book you could read that would tell you how to market yourself or how to tailor yourself. And I think, I can't speak for you or for Caleb or anyone else, but I know for me, the me that I am, it's the real me, but there's definitely times where, I have this voice in the back of my head that says, well, I probably shouldn't say that,
for
or
sure.
I shouldn't do that. And it's not a matter of being fake. It's a matter of, we represent companies.
Yeah.
We have a certain image that we feel, no one tells us we have to, but we feel an obligation to kind of, I guess, uphold a certain image for the younger riders, for the fans, all that kind of stuff. Stu, do we have a new leader, or?
White flag is out, and at the...
There's just in front of him.
Stu Baylor is just ahead of him, 3.4 seconds.
But yeah, and actually here, perfect example. These two could not be more polar opposites right here.
You have no idea. Ben is straightforward, blue collar guy, and then you got Stu, who's just Stu.
Ben is, he is like a sponge. He just absorbs, experience and knowledge from,
so here we go. So
there's the splash.
Yep.
I knew. I didn't feel like
right.
they would be comfortable trying to go 4 laps. So right now, you're Stu Baylor. Assuming Stu we didn't have a shot, but assuming he didn't pit on the backside of the KTM semi, that gives him a 6, 7, 8 second gap, if not slightly more.
So he probably would have saw that when he turned down auxiliary row.
So you pin it? You try and break the guy right then?
Pin it as hard as you can. I'm sure Stu's probably down an energy drink.
He just took a Bang Energy mixed with a what's that 5-hour thing?
5-hour energy,
a Red Bull,
whatever,
and a Coca-Cola. They mixed it all in one concoction, and he bonged it.
It's full out right now for sure. It's whoever wants it the worst. It's going to come down to this.
Well, at this point,
lap.
I wonder who does want this the most right now. I mean, Stu Baylor, obviously, he wants wins. He wants explanation points as far as this 2019 season. Ben Kelly, I think, wants to make statements.
Yeah, for sure. I think both want it pretty bad. I feel like this would be like a exclamation point on if Stu wins, just with the end of this year to next year, like the whole.
Right.
Yeah. So. I think it'd be a big win for Stu, and also a huge win for Ben. Has anybody
ever won in their second XC1 race? I would have to say. Well, I mean,
has anybody?
Maybe Yuha or someone like that came from overseas may have won.
Yeah,
their
but
first
I'm
or
just
second
saying,
race.
like from the XC2 moved up early, XC1. I don't think that's. I'm pretty positive it's never been done for sure, because I know it took me a long time, and I think it took Caleb maybe 12 races to win.
I think more than that.
Really?
Because I want to say Caleb moved up in 2009 because he was a year behind you, right?
Yeah, he would have been 9.
His first win wasn't until well into the 2010 season.
So
he was he was a full season plus 3/4 of the next, because it was the second to last round where he finally won. So he was 12, 13 plus another. Well, he was 24, 25 races.
All right, so here we go. We got Stu.
There's that gap. That's the difference when you stop for fuel.
Yep.
And honestly, that doesn't look like a lot, but that's a comfortable little gap for Stu.
Especially on the last lap.
Yeah, he's not chewing all over him, trying to make mistakes, and that's a nice little gap Stu's got there for sure. He can hit his own lines, don't have to worry about Ben trying to pass him, and it makes things a little bit easier for sure.
Yeah. And for Ben, it's a detriment, because when you're right, it obviously maybe a little bit different on a bike, but I think not. When you're right on someone's rear wheels, you're basically just keying off everything that they do. Right now, he's got enough of a gap that Ben's basically riding by himself.
Yeah.
He's not able to see what Stu's bike's doing when he's hitting stuff. He's not close enough to be in that proverbial draft.
Yeah, man, Ben looks good.
He does.
Up on the pegs,
smooth.
standing up. Man.
All right, right now. Let's lay it out. Come on, we're gonna start. We're gonna give you a second, Thad. You're the new guy, so we're not gonna put you on the hot seat. Rodney Tomlin, we are 1 lap away from the completion of this inaugural running of the Mountaineer GNCC here at Bechtel Reserve. Who is gonna take the win?
Wow, man, I'm usually the hype guy, the speculation guy. I've got an idea and I've got a feeling. I got to tell you right now, I don't know. I haven't got that feeling. You know, there's a part of me that says the experience of Stu Baylor is going to take this and get it completed. But then there's that part of me, the hunger of Ben Kelly, the speed, and obviously how hard he's coming here in these final closing moments. You know, that puts him at an advantage. But at the same time, flip that around again. Stu Baylor's so rough and rugged on the last lap that I just don't know. I can't make the call. I can't even begin to guess. But if you're going to put me on the spot, I'm going to say experience may win out on this.
All right, we got after a waffle. We got and all of those points you made were absolutely valid points and good information. But we got Stu Baylor from Rodney Tomlin. Thad,
I like both these guys a lot, but I think Stu's going to win today for sure. I think just with the maturity a little bit, knows when he needs to push or whatever.
Third place rider on screen, Grant Baylor, coming through the 314 Teely Energy machine, looking pretty good as well. But one would assume the gap too far to bridge for him to get to this lead battle right now. It's a two-man show, and we got 2 votes in. Thad, put it in words. You haven't officially said it. All right, we got Thad with saying Stu. We got Rodney saying Stu. I would love to make this on a unanimous decision, but I can't do it.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll tell you why, and here's my reasoning. Everybody gets to say their reasoning. I don't think Stu's not capable of it. I don't think it's not that he doesn't want it. I think that he's going to fight, and I think there's a very good potential that Stu Baylor will win this race. Here's why I think Ben Kelly's going to win. 2 reasons. Number 1 of which, enthusiasm. He's so pumped right now, so excited. All this on the line. Number 2, payback. Ben Kelly, by all accounts, we can't forget, 1 year ago, Ironman GNCC.
I forgot about that.
You and Caleb sat the race out. Ben Kelly had the overall win in hand, had a phantom. He was still to this day not admit a phantom front wheel problem that almost had to be mental. He was imagining that front wheel locking up with the XC2 title on the line.
I forgot
He pulled
about that.
changed the wheel, had the win in hand. Stu Baylor goes on to win. Right now, whether it's consciously or subconsciously, Ben Kelly is seeing another opportunity to get back that first overall win he's been hunting now for 3 years. Here it is, folks. The showdown is coming to you. We are less than 8 miles from the completion of this one, and it is going to be a barn burner all the way right to the finish.
And at the beginning of the year, you know, Ben actually lived at Stu's house for quite a few months, so you know these guys are decently good friends. So it's kind of what if it comes down the last couple of turns? How do you think it's going to go?
Now you're bringing it. Now you're bringing it. Let me say this. I think both of those riders have a lot of respect for each other. I think both of those riders will absolutely respect each other's safety and race clean. If it comes down to a shoving match and an elbowing match in the last couple turns, Ben is hosed. Stu is going to put him on the ground. He's going to take the checkered flag. He's going to turn around. He's going to pick Ben back up and put him. Would he do anything to hurt him? No. Would he knock him down and smile about it after? Absolutely.
Yeah, they'll have a laugh about it for sure.
Well, 2 hours, 39 minutes into this one. They're charging hard. It is Stu Baylor and Ben Kelly just feet apart as we should be seeing a checker flag fly probably in about 18 minutes. We made our predictions and our guesses. What are you thinking? Well, I'll tell you what, we're all going to find out how it all pans out here in just a little bit. Stick around. GNCC Live continues right after this.
Your bearings shoulder the burden whenever you tow, haul, or stomp the gas. AMSOIL delivers powerful protection for bearings and other critical components so you can drive with confidence. To demonstrate, an independent lab put AMSOIL synthetic motor oil head-to-head against a leading competitor in a 100,000-mile test. AMSOIL provided far superior wear protection and kept engine bearings looking like new. Get your truck the protection it deserves at amsoil.com/auto.
We are American motorcyclists. We are members of the American Motorcyclist Association, racers, fans, and crew. We come together for this sport we love, to race together, to grow together. We start young and not so young. We race motorcycles and ATVs. We become friends, we become family. We compete for weekend bragging rights and national championships. We make memories on the toughest off-road courses in the country and on the best motocross tracks in the world. Some of us aspire to the speed and poise of road racing or the fierce competitiveness of American flat track, and we honor our greatest champions in the AMA Motorcycle Hall of Fame. Through it all, we cheer, we win, and we lose. We are racing. We are the AMA. Race with us. Be part of the greatest sport in the world. Be an American motorcyclist. Join us today at www.amajoin.com/join-now.
I'm a junior pro surfer from Maui, Hawaii. I actually tried to homeschool in 8th grade and just didn't meet my needs. I came to On Track in 9th grade, and from the beginning I really liked it.
The mission at On Track School is to make academic success completely possible for each and every student while they're out pursuing their personal goals.
Everything is just super easy with On Track. I get to take my computer on the road whenever I need to. It makes it very easy for me to get all my work done.
If you're looking for a program that provides flexibility and a program that you can take anywhere that fits your lifestyle, then On Track is for you. So come check us out at ontrackschool.com and go get it.
Even when you're the best, you never stop striving to be better. The all-new from the ground up 2019 Yamaha YZ250F is available at LoJack Cycle Sales, alongside the all-new YZ65 and YZ85, and refined YZ450F. So stop by LoJack Cycle Sales today in Tarentum, Pennsylvania, and visit our online inventory at www.lojacks.com. Yamaha YZs. It's why we ride.
And welcome back to GNCC Live here to the beautiful Summit Bechtel Reserve in Beckley, West Virginia for this Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC. Rodney Tomlin along with Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and in-studio guest today, Bad Thad Duvall. And of course, just want to remind everyone, each year we try to bring you the best in live entertainment at select rounds of the AMSOIL Grand National Cross Country Series. In just 2 weeks at the Ironman GNCC, we will have the Davison Brothers Band on Friday night, a GNCC favorite, and new to the list of acts this year. Now, we've had him perform before, but at Ironman this year, Craig Morgan's going to be there. He'll be performing on Saturday night at the Ironman GNCC. An awesome way to end a great season. So join us at the Ironman coming up 2 weeks from this weekend. Back to the action on hand as we pick it up. Stu Baylor and Ben Kelly, we saw that they were literally basically nose to tail when they came through the finish line. A quick splash of gas for Ben Kelly opens the gap up to about 5 to 6 seconds now, as the last time we checked in with them. And right now we are some 13 minutes out from what we expect to be the checker flag coming out, and that'll put us right at and just under that 3-hour mark of racing. And to race in 3 hours of this type of terrain, man, you know these guys have really done their work today, and whoever wins this one's going to deserve it.
I'm looking at another thing too. Ryder Lafferty checked in 18 seconds behind Austin Lee. So
he's coming back.
Yeah. So Austin did a 28:02 and Ryder did a 27:04. So.
Oh wow.
He's on
the move.
Yeah, Ryder's on the move for sure.
Yep, one of those late race charges. And again, you know, watching, we wonder about the late race charge. You know, that's one thing we haven't seen out of Stu today. He's been on, I don't know if it's been a charge all day long, but we haven't seen
you can't have a late race charge when you've led the whole thing. It's impossible.
Well, you know, would he put the hammer down? Or I mean, this has really been a fairly steady race for him, and that's something, you know, usually you see him go fast and lay back, then speed back up. I mean, it's been steady all day long on the throttle.
Stu's been good about managing the race today for sure.
Yeah.
I feel like he's done a phenomenal job at it, even though Ben was able to catch him there towards the end here. But yeah, I feel like these two guys are definitely on rails today, and I wish I was out there right there with them for sure.
Grant Baylor still back in that number 3 spot, a minute and 30 seconds back, 36 seconds, a minute and 36 seconds actually. Josh Toth another 56 seconds back in that 4th place position. Ricky Russell's now up to the number 5 spot, I think, as we pointed out a little bit ago, gotten around Trevor Bollinger. And here it is. Craig DeLong is checked in 7th overall. Johnny Gallagher, you called a top 10.
When I said in the top 10.
I know. That's what I'm saying. You said in the top 10, and he is well into the top 10 now.
Yeah,
so
I knew that the start of the race he had going just wasn't very Craig-esque, although he never seems to go fast at the beginning unless Ben Kelly's out there.
Yeah.
If he doesn't have Ben to chase, it seems like he starts back like around 83rd, 100th in the XC2 class and works his way up the entire race, which is what he's done today. I was actually taking a look back, and I was pretty certain of this. Ryder Lafferty has never had a GNCC podium in that XC2 class, so he is in a position to make that happen today. So as we look at that right now, Craig DeLong leading with a pretty large lead of 2 minutes and 4 seconds over Mike Witkowski. Another 56 seconds back is Austin Lee, and then 18 seconds back of Ryder Lafferty. So we've got those guys battling it out, wheel to wheel, pretty much coming in for that 3rd place spot.
Must not be too bad. He's got Coors Light in his hand.
We're getting ready to be joined in the booth for the first time in like 16 shows. We might actually have to come to our booth camera here. We've got a rider in the booth here coming in. I'll let Rodney handle this because there's so much to be said. I don't even know how to handle this one. Lots of things going on.
Okay. 2
guys in the booth right now that we are accustomed to seeing out there battling wheel to wheel. We're going to put them side by side, and they can have a battle of the mouths instead of a battle of the bikes. We're joined in booth by Caleb Russell. Caleb, you're joining us after this race cut a little bit short for you today. No speculation. We're just going to click your mic on there and put it to you. What are you doing here, bud?
I figured I'd just come over and hang out for a little bit since I'm done for the day. But yeah, it's a sad way to end the year. But you know, it's racing dirt bikes. That's busted up, and I had a pretty good crash this week and hurt my shoulder again. And it's one of those things. Like if I really would have had to finish today, I could have done it. But just managing where I was on the track. It was getting to be a little too much, and I was making mistakes, and I hit it again. And
we see your left shoulder. The jersey's all torn to pieces there. Don't know if we've got the camera here. If we can show that. I don't know if it'll show in frame there if we come to our in studio cam. But left shoulder all torn up and back in here, and yeah, certainly not the way you wanted to end this one, huh?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I actually was really enjoying the track. It was technical. It was tough, and you know, the first 3 miles are really rocky and tough to pick your lines through, and the end was getting pretty gnarly as well. It was slicker rocks and sort of single track stuff, so I was really enjoying it. But yeah, like I said, it's one of those things. Like when I hurt my shoulder last year, once it gets to a certain point, gets weak, it's just hard to hold on, and I kind of got to the same point today, and with that not racing, so I could either hurt myself more or, you know, take it easy. So.
Yeah. Well, you guys gone from just a few days ago. You guys are both vying for a title today, Caleb. It looks like you've officially put the wraps on that. We'll clarify that obviously on the podium here in just a few moments. But right now, obviously, as bummed as we are to have both of you guys in here, it's kind of interesting and unique to get this kind of insight, Rodney. I mean, when's the last time we had 2 guys that seemingly moments ago were battling for race wins and a championship, now in here calling the action and seeing Stu Baylor, Ben Kelly, and the rest out here battling for a win?
Going for Stu?
Never.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We gotta get Caleb on. What do you think, Rodney? Should we put him on the spot and make him give his 2 cents on?
I think where are they at on the track right now? Do you know how far do you think they are?
We do somewhat have. I don't know if our producers can hear us. If they can get us the live track update that shows where those guys are tracking. They said they're at roughly the 7-mile marker.
They're getting ready to enter the bike only section, which is single track, and it's pretty gnarly little section. There's not too many places to pass except at the very end, and then I would say whoever comes out of that section in the lead, it's going to be hard to make a move unless you make a mistake past that, because it's a long road section leading towards the finish, and then just a couple small trails like connector trails that are a little bit tough, but that's going to be the key section. So if Stu can make it through there unscathed and still in the lead, I would say he's going to have it, but Ben's going to be really good through there as well. The lines are getting tough to get through. We had a couple lines yesterday where we picked out on the high side, and they're all polished off, and you lose your momentum in it, it's game over.
So we're going to put you on the spot. Who's going to cross the checkered first? Is it going to be Stu Baylor or is it going to be Ben Kelly?
Stu has definitely got the advantage right now. He's in the lead, so like I said, at this point, if Ben's right on him in that section, it's a 50-50 chance if Stu messes up. But then again, if Ben takes the same line as Stu through that section, he's not going to be able to get around him if Stu does bobble, because there's just no way to pass. In my eyes, there isn't anyway. So.
Rodney, we got the other question. Comes down to these guys are wheel to wheel coming through the final turns. And it starts to get a little bit, shall we say, physical contact happening. Who wins out on an elbow battle between Ben and Stu?
You can't really have an elbow battle in the last few turns here, so it's whoever's in the lead coming into the last couple chicanes is gonna win. As long as you hug the insides there, it's all she wrote. So.
All right, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'm going to go against everything everyone's saying. Number one, Ben's going to win because he's still mad from Ironman last year. And I'm going to take it even further, add fuel to the fire. Stu's going to clearly have the win coming into the final turns. Ben is going to bulldoze him out of the way, put him in the banners, take the win, turn around, and give him the Cooper Webb finger gun over the shoulder. Gotcha, buddy. So Ben Kelly is going to let his inner bad boy out here in the final turns of this one today.
That'll be interesting to see happen. Johnny, I love the fact that you always play the opposite side of the coin.
Yeah, man, it's boring if everybody agrees.
Devil's advocate over there. But very good points that everyone's bringing up here today. Again, 7, we're down to 6 minutes or so, I think, before we can expect to see these guys in. The track, did you notice, you were out there, 4 laps or something like that? Did you notice much of a difference in the track breakdown? Was it breaking down very much, or did it stay pretty consistent today?
My last lap, it started to break apart and kind of loosen up. So it was definitely starting to break down and get looser, and the rocks were kind of getting shoved around in different places. So it was getting trickier. The first lap, everything was kind of more packed together, not quite as rough, but like I said, it was getting chewed out, and the rocks were, coming up out of the ground even more, so it was a little tricky.
So definitely challenging, and it's hard to say. I mean, you've been spending a lot of time with Ben Kelly, I understand, and have ridden some with him and trained with him and stuff. Is this the type of terrains that really suits his style?
Oh yeah, I'm sure. As soon as Ben got out there on the bike, he was licking his chops when he seen how the terrain was. He really excels in this, and I would say he would probably. If he would have lined up in his 250F, he probably would have just checked out on us. But the way he was riding the 450, so I think he's not quite used to that 450 just yet. But that 250, man, I really think he would have done some damage today. But obviously, he's putting it together on the 450, which is even more impressive, I think.
Yeah, we talked about the 350 to 450, and hats off to him for riding the 450. That thing's a handful for sure.
Well, we'll see.
The top 5 of the guys are on 450, so I guess the 450 was a choice today for sure.
Well, definitely these guys are making it work for them. There's no doubt about it. And right now we just wait with bated breath. We wait to find out whether or not we're going to see history in the making here today on a couple of different levels. Will Ben Kelly be able to take a win here today? And if he does, that will be historical, because number one, it'll be his first win as an XC1 and overall. And then secondly, what'll be big about that is I think
win in his second try.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't think that's ever been done. And we've talked about that earlier, Caleb. I don't know of anyone, at least in the history that I've been here, that's ever been achieved by anyone. So to be able to do something like that's pretty big stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Ben's going to be a really he's gonna be really good straight away for sure.
Yeah.
He's gonna be tough to beat at a lot of places next year. I know that, and it's if he can put the whole race together, and man, I think he's gonna be a guy to up there battling for these wins week in and week out. But he's still got a lot to learn. His rookie year is going to be probably tough here and there, but he's definitely probably going to be the best rookie we've seen in a long time.
I have to agree with you, and I have to ask you guys this question this year. I know you guys were doing a lot of, battling against each other a lot throughout this season, but we also saw Ben in the overall and on the podium a couple times and was leading on adjusted time. Was that something that was in the back of your guys' minds while you were racing each other? Did you guys keep that in check at any time during the race, or did you just not even care or even think about that?
I think some races was definitely, even before before I'd start, I'd think, oh crap, Ben's going to be good today just with the rocky conditions. And then you get the pit boards that when me and Kayla are battling for the lead, and you get the pit board that you're 20 seconds off the overall and getting beat by Ben. I think, it is quite defeating, but I feel like he still has a lot to learn for 3 hours. I feel like that's going to be his biggest downfall.
Now, did that make you guys click it up a gear, or did you just keep the same game plan and just hope that things change back there for him?
I think personally, it's a little bit easier to catch up because on some tracks that he would be really good at. Here we go.
Yep, there they are.
No
Ben
way.
Kelly
Ben Kelly coming across to Johnny Gallagher. You're right. He just out of nowhere, and he does it. A historical moment here at the Mountaineer GNCC. Ben Kelly just crossed the finish line, taking the win in his second only attempt as an XC2 or an XC1 Pro Class rider. History has been made today here at the Mountaineer GNCC.
And it doesn't look like Stu's really close. He must have, like I said, that last little section might have caught him off guard, and
I told you guys what happened. Ben bulldozed him out of the way.
Yeah.
For last year's Ironman.
Nostradamus, Johnny.
Somebody just said Stu blew up.
Oh, Johnny Nostradamus. Man,
is that going to ruin the 450 top 3 we were talking about? Because fourth place.
Yeah,
fourth could be Ricky Russell.
Yeah.
And Ricky's also on a 450.
Between him and Toth.
Yeah, Toth had a pretty good lead on Ricky when the last came through the pits. So as long as nothing happens to Josh, it'll be his second podium of the year, I believe.
What a ride for Ben. Wow.
Yeah, he was riding really good today. I know. Stu kind of checked out on us there at the beginning of the race, and I made a little mistake and fell down. Speaking of Josh, there he goes in the FMF PowerPoint. But I made a little mistake, and Ben got by me, and I caught up, and man, he was really riding really well. I was impressed, and he just clicks up a gear in those rocks and just sends it. But that's what you got to do to go fast in the rocks. It's you can ride that high gear and you just kind of float through the stuff. But it's hard to do. It's hard to let yourself just mentally get through that stuff by clicking up a gear and just kind of floating through and sending it low RPMs. It feels like you're hauling ass, but
I can't wait to hear Stu about this one. This is going to be good.
You can only imagine.
Yeah. Especially after the last race and what he said.
I led every lap.
So this is going to be a good one from Stu for sure.
Hats off to him though. Rode a heck of a race. Led virtually this whole entire race, and unfortunately, we'll get the word from him or from his team when we can. But right now, the man of the day, the man of the hour, Ben Kelly. Red Bull KTM Trail Jesters. Red Bull KTM. He's out in that.
Tough.
Yeah, wow, mercy. And what a day. I mean, I have to say, a little bit of a surprise here, and I don't know where.
Grant Baylor into second,
yeah.
Toth in third, so KTM sweep.
Yeah, so we were looking for that, and Grant Baylor, like say, into that number 2 spot. What a heartbreaker for Stu, and man, I guess you guys can flip the tables around on him a little bit and say, man, you let something like that happen. You let a guy on his only second XC1 race win and beat you like that. So you guys are going to have to give him a hard time about that.
Not only that, you can give it back to him. You guys are both sitting trailside.
Yeah.
So you guys literally served it up to him on a silver platter, and he still couldn't see it.
So, be a lot of fun from that standpoint. But again, a heartbreaker, though, man. I mean, anybody in that position, it's got to be definitely.
Yeah, I'm bummed
tough
for
pill
Stu.
to swallow.
I'm bummed for Stu. He had a different vibe this weekend. I felt like just kind of seeing him on Friday, and He was different for sure. It's not the usual Stu that we see, but here comes Toth into the finish, collect third place. So hats off to him picking it up on the end of the race. But yeah, like I was saying, Stu had a different vibe about him this weekend. I knew he was going to be tough. So we got a text saying
it blew up.
Yeah, it blew up. Yeah, we're getting rewards.
That wasn't live, I'm sorry.
We're getting reports from our producer. He said that word is that Stu blew up.
I'm answering the questions.
But yeah, we did get the text, Thad did, saying that the problem with Stu. But Ben, I have to wonder, what Ben was thinking whenever he saw that happen. I mean, that had to be something that really was
payback. I told you.
For sure.
It's karma coming back. Stu didn't do anything wrong last year at Ironman, but I think a lot of people watching that race,
Ricky
Ben
Russell
had that race well in hand. And that phantom front wheel problem that ultimately ended up costing him the overall. He felt like the fate.
Yeah, I guess he could have been the first XC2 rider winning overall, but now he's the first rookie to win a race in 2 races, I guess. So.
Yeah, that's pretty doggone impressive, man.
He's already got half as many wins as Stu.
And it's already started.
You guys might want to
I'm sorry, Stu.
That was pretty good.
Well, I tell you what, while we collect ourselves and we get the XC2 and the XC3 in and get that all sorted out, we'll head down and talk with some of our top finishers today. But we'll do that when we get back right after this.
Consistent clutch feel is vital to effective starts or to confidently maneuver around obstacles on the trail. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil was subjected to an extreme simulated start test. After 32 simulated race starts, AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil continued to deliver consistent clutch feel, and the clutch plates remained clean with no visible wear. The competitor's oil, however, allowed discoloration and significant wear after just 16 starts. AMSOIL synthetic dirt bike oil. Give your bike the protection it needs.
Born of family values and a homegrown work ethic, Cometic Gaskets seals your machine so you can focus on the finish line. Cometic Gaskets are the competitive standard for racers who demand the very best. Cometic Gaskets are constructed from superior materials designed to perform in the most demanding environment. Whether it's championships on the line or a day in the dirt with friends, professionals and enthusiasts depend on Cometic. Cometic Gaskets, sealing championships since 1989.
This week in Yamaha history, we take a look back at the 2007 Snowshoe GNCC. Being only the 3rd running of America's newest, toughest race, the 2007 Snowshoe GNCC was about to get its first real taste of race time adjustment. The day started out to be what seemed like a normal GNCC. The Killer Bees of Chris Borich and Yamaha's Bill Balance were out front in a torrid battle for top honors. While their war waged, XC2 Yamaha-mounted Brian Wolf from Ohio was powering his way through the West Virginia rocks and mud to physically take over the 3rd place position on the track. Was it enough, though, to take the win? While Borich and Balance battled one another, the only thing they could not beat was time. At the checkers, the Yamaha-mounted XC2 rider Brian Wolf rode into history as the first ever XC2 rider to win a GNCC overall. And that's this week in Yamaha history. And welcome back to GNCC Live. Rodney Tomalong, Johnny Gallagher, also Mikey Waynes. Want to say thanks to Thad Duvall and Caleb Russell for joining us in booth. Of course, Caleb's race cut a little bit short today because of some issues there, and obviously injury kept Thad from starting out today. But wow, what a day. History being made. Ben Kelly taking the win in only his second ever XC1 GNCC race. And of course, as we continue to watch, we're waiting on our XC2 class leaders to check in here in just a few moments. We're looking for Craig DeLong, Mike Witkowski, and Austin Lee. We'll figure out whether or not Ryder Lafferty's able to get that final podium spot away from Austin here in a few moments. Right now, though, we're going to head on down to the Specialized Winners Circle, where, of course, Mikey Waynes is standing by with our top finishers.
Well, thank you, Rodney. Normally I say a little something. I'm just going to say this. Ben Kelly, wow.
Yeah, it's
Unreal,
honestly. This win definitely means the most out of, any win I've ever had my whole career. I'm just stoked.
What was going through your head there going into that last lap? Stu Baylor out in front of you. You're closing the gap. At one point, we could have thrown a blanket over you guys.
Yeah, overall, I got a good start. All that really mattered. I was able to just stay up there with Caleb the first half of the race. Once I put in the charge. And yeah, I just tried to hang his wheel the whole time, and I got real close coming into that last lap, and just tried to stick with him the whole time. And it was going to be hard to pass him. I tried a few different lines and tried getting close here and there, and then close to the end of that bike only on a downhill, he stalled it, and I was able to squeak by when he was trying to refire the bike. So got a little gift there, but I worked hard, and I'm just stoked to get my first overall win.
Absolutely did, man. Well, congratulations to you. I got a feeling it's going to be the first of many. Ben Kelly taking the win here at the Mountaineer GNCC.
Congratulations to you once again, Ben Kelly. History being made here in GNCC as we have to rewrite the books just a little bit. And wow, what a great accomplishment to be able to achieve something such as that in only 2 races as an XC1 Pro Class rider. Again, riding on a high right now, and I'm sure he's going to be tough to even contend with when we go to the Ironman.
There is Grant Baylor and Josh Toth, your second and third place riders. And I'll tell you what, Rodney, a lot of emotions running through Ben Kelly's mind right now, I'm sure, as well as his crew and his family. What a long road in a short amount of time that this guy has traveled. I think we're going to get a word with some of our riders, but one other thing I want to say, folks, go look at the GNCC website. The list of riders who have ever won a GNCC is a very short list when you consider this series has been running since the early 1980s. And I mean, that list fits on one page of a website, and it's a who's who of the baddest dudes ever to ride dirt bikes and four-wheelers. So Ben Kelly, your name's on that list, buddy. Congratulations.
Let's head on down to the podium with Mikey Wayne standing by with Grant Baylor.
Grant Baylor, man, this is one of those races you just hang in there, and when it comes to the end, boom, you're on the podium.
Yeah, and seems like every time I had a good race going this year, just something would happen out of our hands and I wouldn't finish the race. But now you see when I finish the race, I'm on the box and where I belong. It's been a while since I've been up here, and it feels great. I just had a pretty good day. I had a mid-pack start there, and it took me a couple laps to get going. But there in the middle of the race, I put in a really good lap and was able to catch up to those guys and land there on the box.
Man, it's always good to finish a day off on the podium. How much better does it feel, though, looking back to the Mason-Dixon? You're shaking your head, the DNF, and then coming back and finishing on the box. It's got to make it that much sweeter.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since Mason-Dixon, I really felt like I was really felt like I had a good day going there, and that sucked. I was pretty bummed out when I wasn't able to finish there, but yeah, today, I've been telling everybody, just wait. Once we get finished, we're gonna be on the box. So here we are.
Here you are, Grant Baylor, right there, taking second place here in the overall today.
Wow, what a day and some big
Grizzly Grant.
yeah, I was noticing that his beard's a little trimmed down as opposed to what it was earlier in the season.
He's a slimmer Grizzly than he was earlier in the season as well.
Wow, what a ride for him, Johnny. If you remember, he was what, by 8th, 9th place, I think, there early in the race.
He was back definitely out of the top 5, but it's pretty cool to see him come up through. And you know, yes, he kind of had second, more or less inherited it, but he still had to work for it. He had to be there. But he rode his way up into 4th and was on the rear wheels of Caleb before Caleb, called it a day, and then Stu's bike retired. So heck of a ride for Grant Baylor today.
No doubt about it, and a heck of a ride as well for Josh Toth as he gets to share the podium today with one of his old buddies. Let's head on down to the winner's circle there with Mikey Waynes and Josh.
Rodney, well, Josh Toth, Rodney just said it. You get to hang out on the podium with your old buddy Ben Kelly. First time we've seen that in a couple of years, man. So finishing out on the box here today in 3rd, you got to feel good about this.
Absolutely. I had high expectations for myself coming into this weekend. Working with WP and getting my suspension sorted, and coming to this round, I knew it was like home for me and Ben. So I'm stoked to be up on the box with him and Ben and I, and also Grant. So we got the whole junior trophy team up there sweeping it.
It's like a reunion, man. Well, congratulations to you, my friend. What kind of momentum do you feel this carries for you heading into the last round of GNCC?
Yeah, it gives me a lot of confidence just in my bike, just moving forward. I know I'm coming back from injury, and I know trust in the work I've been put in. So I'm excited for the next race and what's coming, ISD.
There you go, guys. Josh Toth taking 3rd place here today in the overall.
All righty, thanks a lot, Mikey. Congratulations, Josh. And checking in with our XC2 250 Pro class now. Had a whale of a battle going on there today. Craig DeLong ends up coming out on top of this one, Johnny. After 7 laps, he wins by 2 minutes and 58 seconds over the 282 of the beta ride of Michael Witkowski out of North Liberty, Indiana. And that Lafferty Legacy out of Dorothy, New Jersey, the KTM rider number 44. Is this not his first podium?
It is his first ever XC2 or podium of any kind here in GNCC. So the as you said, the Lafferty legacy continues, and Ryder Lafferty, welcome to the podium, buddy. Welcome to the big leagues. You've been quietly chipping away at it all year. Not a format of racing that he has been super comfortable in. Committed himself to it this year. He's been running all the races. He, struggling at the beginning even to get top 10s. Then those top 10s turned into 8s and 7s and 6s and 5s, and all of a sudden today here it is. Top 3, 3rd place overall for, and only 12 seconds behind. He almost ran down Mike Witkowski at the finish, and 10th overall.
That's pretty amazing. Taking a look at that Rocky Mountain ATVMC leaderboard for this Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC again. Ben Kelly, Grant Baylor, Josh Toth, Ricky Russell in 4th, Trevor Bollinger in 5th, Craig DeLong, winner of the XC2 in 6th, Josh Strang took 7th, Andrew DeLong, a good solid ride for him in 8th place, 9th place, 2nd place in the XC2 250 Pro class, Michael Witkowski, and 10th place overall, 3rd place in the XC2 250 Pro class, Ryder Lafferty. Let's head back down to Mikey Waynes at the finish line.
Snagging himself a swig of water, man. Craig, solid ride out there today out of the XC2.
Yeah, it was a good day. I struggled in the beginning trying to get going, and I got into the lead a few times, but I fall over and go back to 4th, and just struggled with that the first couple laps, and then got into a groove, and then I started chipping away, got in the lead, and then I just rode a solid race from there, and then I caught the tail end of the XC1 guys, which kind of helped me pull me along, so it was a good day.
It was a good day, man. Well, congratulations to you. Craig DeLong taking 1st place here in the XC2.
All right, and congratulations to you, Craig. As we said, Mike Witkowski about 2 minutes 58 seconds back in 2nd, but impressively, Ryder Lafferty turning the fastest lap in the XC2 250 Pro class on the last lap. The fastest rider on that lap, 26:59, just under the 27-minute mark. Craig DeLong was at a 27:07, but everyone else 28:01 to 28:11 in that top 5, top 6 out through there, and even further back. So, man, Ryder really coming on strong there in that last couple of laps. We saw him rolling with a head full of steam when the white flag came out, and boy, I tell you what, he really put it all together there. Austin Lee will get 4th in that class, and right now still waiting, believe it or not, on your 5th place ride, but it could be the New Zealander riding with the AmPro, the AmPro team this weekend of Dylan Yearberry. So congratulations to Dylan on a great first attempt at GNCC racing as well.
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, to a rider that's never ridden GNCC before to come in with a 5th place in that very competitive XC2 class. Yeah, a good run for him today for sure.
Another class that we keep very close eyes on, at FMF XC3 125 Pro-Am class. Jesse Ansley's due in about 3 minutes. He has about a 3-minute lead over Jake Froman and Jason Lipscomb. The 700 in the number 3 spot was about 3 minutes and 34 seconds. Mike DeLosa 4th. Chase Colville last time I checked in with Chase, he was with 3 laps. I thought that maybe Chase was out of the race, but he does put in 2 more laps. He finishes 5 laps today. So Colville will take the number 5 spot. Then it's Logan Kiddick and Joe Marsh in the number 6 and 7 positions. But again, still waiting on Jesse. He's due in under 3 minutes now on the 328 machine, which I'm not sure that may have secured a championship for him today too, Johnny, if I'm thinking right.
Yeah, it sounds like it will, and we'll have some championship celebrations today. We had some at the last race, or actually in New York with Ben Kelly wrapping up that title in the XC2 class today. Officially, unofficially, Caleb Russell wrapping up his XC1 title. A little bit of a subdued celebration for him. Obviously not the day he was looking for, but by him coming in here and kind of clarifying nothing that he's super concerned about, just made the decision that it was best for him to cut his losses on the day and get himself prepped again for that race 2 weeks from now in Crawfordsville, Indiana, the one we call Ironman. And the Ironman today, Ben Kelly taking the win, already having wrapped up that XC2 title. The pressure's off, got that kind of mulligan out of the way at his first race, his first XC1 race 2 weeks ago at the Mason-Dixon, coming out today swinging, and make it clear, Thad Duvall, due to injury, maybe sitting this one out. Caleb Russell, pulling out early. Stu Baylor, obviously having some engine issues, as so we're told on the last lap there. But Ben Kelly was in the fight for this one, literally from 1 mile in. He was there. He was fighting for it. He could see the lead. He put himself in the position to win this race, and he earned this one in every possible way that you can earn one of the toughest forms of motorsports in the world. He comes away the winner here today at the inaugural Mountaineer GNCC at Bechtel Reserve.
Well, taking a look real quick at some of these other classes while we got a moment. Open A class, looks like Levi Keller, Kopi Beckert, Brady Myers, Evan Earl dropping from 1st to 4th in that one. Tristan Lamberdrum from 2nd to 5th as we headed into the final lap. They're due in about 4 minutes. We'll see how they finish. You can go to the live timing and scoring on GNCCRacing.com to keep up with that. Nathaniel Tasha taking the win in the 250A class. Simon Johnson, the 29, finishing up in 2nd. Brody Johnson, the 235 in 3rd. 4th place, Ryder LeBlanc. 5th place, then Brendan Poling in that 250A class. As we look at the 200A class, Dominic Morse, the 424, taking the win over leading right now over Max Fernandez. The 490, Zach Davidson was running 3rd. Dylan Simple, the 929 in 4th, and Sean Myers rounding out the top 5. Next class we take a look at is going to be led by Alex Luger. Alex Luger, the 4-stroke A lights class leader, heading into the final lap with a 14-second lead over Johnny Manera. Those guys really had a great start out there. Manera, I think, vying for that whole shot, may have gotten the whole shot, but man, him and Luger have been battling all day. Mitch Owenby, the 370 in 3rd. Ian Flynn, the 422, is looking at 4th right now. Cody Meeks rounding out the top 5 in the 4-stroke A lights class. Junior A B class, Andrew Matuzik, Zach Nash, Andrew Boggs, Matt Bruffy, and Garrett Maynard. And there is Jesse Ansley as you see them celebrating there at the finish line, Johnny Gallagher, and rightfully so as Jesse caps off another FMF XC3 125 overall
I can't hear a word you're saying, Rodney. My IFB kind of cut out. Jesse, we wanted to capture that moment, capture you right down here on the finish line instead of over at the podium. How's it taste, brother? 2 in a row.
I've never tasted real champagne before. That's stuff kind of nasty, but
But it's well earned, man. What did it take to get out in front of these guys, capture another national championship?
a lot of luck this year. With Cody being hurt, it kind of put me in the
Consistent clutch fuel is vital to effective.
Me and him had good battles all week or all year, and with the support from Auntie and KTM this year, they've been a huge help. And it hasn't really sunk in yet, but it feels like the first time.
Well, congratulations. We're going to let you celebrate Jesse Ansley, back-to-back champion in the FMF XC3.
All righty, thanks a lot, Mikey. Congratulations to Jesse and Johnny Gallagher posing a very good question.
Yeah.
What will Jesse Ansley do when we go to the Ironman? Will he remain in the FMF XC3 125 class for one more race, or will he step up to XC2?
I know. See, you know, for Ben, it was a pretty easy step up to the XC1 class. He's been riding a 450 at the J-Days. He's got a lot of time on that bike. For Jesse, he's been riding that 125 exclusively for 2 full years. He rides it everywhere else. So it's a good question. Will he whip out the 250F and go for it in Ironman? We'll find out in just 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll find out in 2 weeks from now when we head to the Ironman GNCC. Make sure you join us, my friends. Davidson Brothers Friday night, Craig Morgan on Saturday night, plus a whole lot of great racing. That's going to do it here from the Yamaha Mountaineer GNCC at the Summit Bechtel Reserve in Beckley, West Virginia. On behalf of Johnny Gallagher, Mikey Waynes, and all of us here at RacerTV.com, I'm Rodney Tomlin. Have a great day, everybody.